is your conference crew speaking. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you aboard Flight Jnanoday, a special journey where knowledge is our destination, excellence is our altitude, and innovation is our horizon.
पहली बार आए थे
हेलो
जिज्ञासा
जी
लेकर
जी बोलिए हेलो जब भी आ रहा था ना सर ऑडियो हेलो चेक
Glitches, isn't it? We request the IT team, can we move ahead? थे जिज्ञासा लेकर
दूसरी बार आए थे विश्वास लेकर
और आज तीसरी बार आए हैं नई प्रेरणा, नए संकल्प और नए उत्साह के साथ. Today's flight, unlike any other, powered by curiosity, guided by wisdom, and enriched by the collective evidence experience of our distinguished speakers, eminent guests, and valued delegates. This promises to be a truly enriching journey.
Before we take off, we request all passengers to kindly place their mobile phones on silent mode. Fasten your seat belts of curiosity and keep your minds open to fresh perspectives and new ideas.
Our flight plan for today includes insightful technical sessions, inspiring conversations, meaningful networking, and valuable learning experiences that will empower us to grow, lead, and excel. The weather forecast is pretty bright with a 100% chance of learning, innovation, and professional excellence.
Ladies and gentlemen, the runway is clear. The engines of knowledge are ready. And flight Jnanoday has received clearance for takeoff. So, sit back, enjoy the journey, and together, let us soar to new heights of knowledge and excellence. Welcome aboard, and let the journey of Jnanoday begins.
It's often said, where there is faith, there is strength. Where there is knowledge, there is progress. And what better place than Shegaon to celebrate this philosophy through our conference, aptly titled Jnanoday, the Rise of Knowledge.
Blessed by spiritual aura of Sant Shri Gajanan Maharaj and united by our commitment to professional excellence, we have gathered here from every corner of Maharashtra to learn, share, connect, and grow together.
With this, I, C. Apeksha Chaudhary,
And I, C.A. Diksha Chawla,
welcome you all to Sub-Regional Conference 2.0, hosted by Akola branch of WIRC of ICAI and co-hosted by Nagpur, Amravati, Jalgaon, Ahilyanagar and Pune branch of WIRC.
बार बार यहाँ आना एक संयोग नहीं, यह इस सम्मेलन की प्रेरणा और अपनापन है.
तीसरी बार भी दिल में वही उत्साह और सीखने का वही जुनून है. It's this spirit of learning and excellence that has brought us together, partners who share our vision. Their support is more than sponsorship. It's a reflection of their faith in the power of knowledge.
As we celebrate Jnanoday, the rise of knowledge, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed title sponsors, Shivam Medisoft Services, and cultural event sponsor, Khandelwal Silvers.
And co-sponsors like Bond Bazaar, Computax, Akola Urban Bank, R-Mark, Maharashtra Grameen Bank, New Generation Computers, Bank of Maharashtra,
AU Small Finance Bank, Taxman AI, Taxonation AI, Mahabeach, Padmalaya Naturopathy Wellness Center, NPAV Cybersecurity, and Tanishq for their invaluable support in making this conference a grand success.
Dear delegates, our valued co-sponsors have their duty-free stalls set up in the basement hall. We invite you to take a few moments to visit them, interact with them, and explore the solutions they've brought for you. Your visit will be greatly appreciated.
A conference of this scale is never the work of few. It is result of collective commencement and passion of entire team.
Cabin announcement, may I have your attention, please?
Before we begin our journey, here's a quick overview of our flight plan for next 2 days. Day 1, series of insightful technical sessions covering Income Tax Act 2.0, search and seizure, and AI in practice. As the day winds down, we'll come together for high tea, cultural fellowship, and entertaining Kavi Sammelan, followed by dinner.
Day 2 starts on a spiritual note with the blessing of Sri Gajanan Maharaj Darshan, followed by breakfast and an inspiring motivational session. The journey then continues with engaging technical sessions on GST, litigation, a panel discussion on capital market, and GST demands and penalties. And before we could conclude our enriching voyage with high tea and departure.
Success is best measured not by grandeur of an event, but by dedication of people who make it possible. And today, The success belonged to each member of organizing committee. We extend our heartfelt congratulations and appreciation for curating this remarkable celebration of knowledge and fellowship. Ladies and gentlemen, let us acknowledge the effort with a big round of applause.
Flight Jnanoday is now approaching one of the most prestigious stops on today's journey. A stage finds its true significance when it's graced by the personalities who inspire excellence and exemplify the spirit of learning. It's with immense honor that we invite our esteemed dignitaries to grace the dais.
We are delighted to welcome Secretary of Akola branch, CA Vishal Rajpal, to have the honor of escorting our esteemed dignitaries to the dais. Vice Chairman, WIRC, CA Bhishan Shah Sir, Treasurer, WIRC, CA Rakesh Shah Sir, Secretary, WIRC, CA Rikin Patel Sir, and Akola branch nominee, CA Jitendra Saglani Sir. May I have a big round of applause? Ladies and gentlemen, let us extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to our distinguished office bearers. Your gracious presence adds immense value to the conference, and we are truly honored to have you at Jnanoday.
We are now approaching one of the most prestigious stops on today's journey. It's now a proud privilege to welcome our chief guest, a distinguished torchbearer of chartered accountancy profession. His visionary leadership, unwavering commitment, and dedicated service continue to shape the future of our profession and inspire chartered accountants across the nation.
Leadership is not defined by the position one holds, but by the vision one nurtures, the confidence one instills, and the legacy one leaves behind. True leaders do not merely occupy an office, they strengthen institutions and inspire generations.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's with immense pride and profound respect and heartfelt admiration that we extend a warm and gracious welcome, Honorable Vice President of ICAI, CA Mangesh Kinare Sir. It's my privilege to invite our dynamic chairman of WIRC, CA Saurabh Ajmera, along with our gracious host and chairman of Akola branch, CA Romal Sojatia, to have the honor of escorting the Honorable Vice President, Sir, to the dais. Sir, your gracious presence at Jnanoday adds immense prestige to this conference, and we are truly honored to have you amidst us.
The dais is truly adorned by the presence of our esteemed guests. We now request all the dignitaries to take their seat as we move forward for the ceremonial proceedings. Nothing symbolizes enlightenment better than a sacred flame. For as our tradition reminds us, Deepa Jyoti Param Jnanam. With this sacred belief, we now commence the auspicious lighting of lamp. I request all CCM, RCM and other dignitaries on and off the dais to kindly join for the same.
May I request all dignitaries and members to kindly stay back, and I will invite chairperson of our co-host branches, Jalgaon, Pune, Ahilyanagar and Amravati, to kindly join for the memorable photograph. I request our co-host branches, Nagpur, Pune, Ahilyanagar and Amravati branch chairpersons to kindly join for this memorable photograph. Nagpur branch chairperson, please. A kind request to Akola branch members, MCMs, kindly grace the dais for a photograph.
बोल दो.
Thank you.
Tribute to the values that unite us as a chartered accountants. May I request everyone to kindly rise for ICAI anthem. Play ICAI anthem.
य एष सुप्तेषु जागृति य एष सुप्तेषु जागृति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्मिमाणः निर्मिमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनाद्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
Thank you.
In keeping with the spirit of Jnanodaya, we have chosen a distinguished way to honor our guests. A bouquet, delicates crafted with candles in the form of flowers, is complemented by a traditional shawl and a commemorative memento. Together, they symbolize our heartfelt respect, enduring gratitude, and admiration. The flowers convey a warm welcome, the light celebrating wisdom and inspiration, and the shawl signifying honor and memento, preserving our appreciation for their gracious presence. With the fragrance of flowers and radiance of a candle, may I invite C.A. Saurabh Ajmera, Chairman WIRC, and Akola Branch Chairman C. Romil Sojatia, sir, to extend a warm welcome by presenting this symbolic bouquet, shawl, and a memento to our Honorable Chief Guest, C.A. Mangesh Kinere, Vice. Give a round of applause for the same.
May I request Vice Chairperson, Akola Branch, Pratik Mantri, to present a floral bouquet to our Vice Chairman, WIRC, C.A. Rikin Patel, sir.
May I request C.A. Vishal Rajpal, Secretary of
With profound respect and heartfelt gratitude, may I request C.A. Sham Maheshwari, sir, Treasurer Akola Branch, to welcome C.A. Rakesh Shah, sir, WIRC.
As a token of a heartfelt welcome and appreciation, I request C.A. Vishal Rajpal, Secretary, sir, to present special floral bouquet to branch nominee RCM C.A. Jitendra Sanglani, sir.
legacies are not merely remembered, they are cherished and celebrated. We are honored by presence of our eminent past Kabra sir, CA Umesh Sharma sir,
And RCM sirs to CA Piyush Chandak sir, CA Vijendra Jain sir, CA Sanjay Nikam sir, and CA Abhishek Dhamne sir. Thank you so much for your valuable presence in today's conference. And CA Kamlesh Sabu sir. Agrawal sir, chairman of First National Conference at Shegaon, beautifully compiling his experience as organizing a conference is similar to a wedding at home. And CA Seema Baheti, ma'am, echoed the same sentiments. Indeed, hosting a sub-regional conference is no ordinary task. It demands meticulous planning, relentless coordination, and an unwavering commitment to excellence.
Organizing such a conference away from one home city makes the responsibility even more demanding. Every detail from the venue, hospitality to delegate experience and seamless execution require months of dedicated effort. When passion is backed by purpose, every challenge transforms into opportunity and every vision into reality.
CA Romil Sojitia has exemplified this spirit through his meticulous planning, tireless efforts, and unwavering dedication, transforming a bold vision into grand and memorable conference we are privileged to witness today. Ladies and gentlemen, let us acknowledge his remarkable contribution with a huge round of applause for CA Romil Sojitia. And now it's a pleasure to hear from the person who has lived the journey from vision to reality.
Mangesh Kinare sir, and our esteemed chief guest in absentia, Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, young and impactful chairman, WIRC, respected Saurabh Ajmera sir, inspiring vice chairman of WIRC, respected Rikin Patel sir, energetic secretary, WIRC, respected Bhishan Shah sir, enthusiastic treasurer of WIRC, respected CA Rakesh Shah sir, smiling and handsome regional council member and Akola branch nominee, respected Jitendra Saglani sir, the person who has been instrumental to make this event happen, our very own Secretary of Akola branch, CA Vishal Kumar Rajpal, distinguished Central Council members, CA Durgesh Kabra sir, CA Piyush Chajed sir, CA Umesh Sharma sir, CA Arpit Kabra sir, all the regional council members, Chairman of Nagpur, Amravati, Jalgaon, Ahilyanagar, Pune, who had been extremely supportive and who have put in their 100% for success of this conference, past chairman, office bearer, our learned faculty members and speakers, esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to all of you to the Sub-Regional Conference 2026 Gyan Uday being hosted here in the divine land of Shegaon. It is indeed a matter of immense pride and privilege for Akola branch of WIRC of ICAI, along with our sister branches of Nagpur, Amravati, Jalgaon, Pune and Ahilyanagar, to organize this grand confluence of knowledge, values and professional excellence. At the outset, I bow before the holy feet of Sri Sant Gajanan Maharaj, whose divine presence continue to guide millions of devotees and whose teachings inspire simplicity, service and spirituality. Shegaon is not merely a destination, it is a sacred experience. The positive energy, devotion and tranquility that this holy town offers make it the perfect venue for gathering dedicated to learning and enlightenment. Our conference theme Gyan Uday literally means the rise or awakening of knowledge. It symbolizes far more than acquiring technical updates or professional competence. It signifies the illumination of our minds, the expansion of our vision, and the transformation of knowledge into wisdom and service. Friends, Akola branch always shared a special bond with Shegaon. Being the closest branch to this holy place, it was both our responsibility and our pleasure to play a pivotal role in bringing this conference to reality. The journey from conceptualization to execution has been challenging, enriching, and immensely satisfying. Personally, this conference shall remain one of the most cherished experiences of my professional life, serving as the chairman of the Akola branch and getting an opportunity to host such a prestigious sub-regional conference in the divine atmosphere of Shegaon is truly a lifetime experience and an honor that I shall carry with gratitude forever. I express my deepest gratitude to our respected Vice President Sir, C. Mangesh Kinare Sir, for graciously accepting our invitation and motivating the entire fraternity through his inspiring presence. I also extend my sincere thanks to C.A. Saurabh Ajmera Sir, Chairman WRC, for their constant guidance and encouragement and unwavering support throughout this journey. I would like to express profound gratitude to all our distinguished speakers and faculties. A special note of thanks to the trustees and management of Shri Gajan Maharaj Sansthan. No event of this magnitude can succeed without the collective efforts of countless individuals working behind the scenes. I sincerely thank every office bearer, managing committee member, volunteer, coordinator, sponsor, staff members, and every person who contributed directly or indirectly to this conference. Most importantly, I express my deepest gratitude to all our participants and delegates. You have traveled from various places and placed your trust in us. Your presence is the true strength and success of this conference. We are humbled by your confidence and support, and we hope that the coming 2 days provide you the meaningful learning, enriching interactions, and memorable experience. As we gather under the banner Gyan Uday, let us pledge to continue our pursuit of knowledge, excellence, integrity, and service to the society. Let us learn, connect, and grow together, carrying forward the proud legacy of our profession. I now have the honor and privilege to request our esteemed Chief Guest, C. Mangesh Kinare Sir, to kindly come forward and officially unveil the logo of Gyan Uday Sub-Regional Conference.
Music.
I humbly seek forgiveness from each one of you for any mistakes, shortcomings, or inconvenience that may have occurred knowingly or unknowingly during the planning and execution of this conference. If we hurt anyone in thought, word, or action, I sincerely ask for your pardon. May this unveiling mark the beginning of 2 days filled with learning, enlightenment, fellowship, and the true spirit of Gyan Uday. Thank you once again. Jai Shri Gajanan, Jai ICAI.
Identity. It reflects your commitment to creating a conference of an identity. Once again, a heartfelt round of applause for our chairman for his remarkable leadership and dedication.
In the world of capital market, knowledge is the strongest investment and trust is the greatest return. True wealth is created not merely by capital, but by discipline and integrity. With this thought, may I request our esteemed dignitary, C. Jitendra Saglani, sir, to share his opening remarks.
Vice President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, CA Mangesh P. Kinre sir. Dynamic and energetic Chairman of Western India Regional Council, CA Saurabh Ajmera ji. The very hard-working as well as dedicated chairmen, starting from Akola branch, CA Romil Sojatia, Nagpur branch, CA Swarupa Vazalwar, Pune branch, CA Prano Apte, Amravati branch, CA Harsh Sharma, Ahilyanagar branch, CA Abhay Kataria, and Jalgaon branch, CA Roshan Runwal. All the esteemed Central Council members, all the colleagues in the Regional Council, committee members of various branches, the attendees who are seniors as well as close friends of mine, I wish everyone, first and foremost, Jai Gajanan. Friends, the theme of this conference, Gyan Uday, means the sunrise of knowledge. What a wonderful theme, what a wonderful imagination. And I think the entire conference, which is actually designed around this theme, will give you wonderful, wonderful experience when it comes to learning. Friends, just 4 thoughts I wish to share here because there are many speakers who will be speaking after me. But I think the best part here is that we are learning, not just learning. We are actually in a good company because we actually, after COVID, had not been assembling so much. So this particular conference brings all of us together, and that is the basic reason that we have this kind of programs. The third reason that we are here is, I hope I'm audible. The third reason we are here is primarily that strong character, because we are in a pious place of Shegaon, and we have to understand that character is something that carries with us for the lifetime. And the last and not the least, I think the most important aspect again is the positive attitude. So with these words, I once again congratulate Akola branch who had taken this very big initiative of bringing all of us together. Rumil, I differ from what you stated that you should not be Michami Dukkulam to everyone, rather we should be, because the region is the one who is hosting the conference and organizing the conference, and Akola branch is hosting it along with all of the branches. So all credits to you and all debits to us. Thank you so much.
For your continued support.
दिन ये फैले हुए उनके पर बोलते हैं, रहते खामोश अक्सर वही लोग ज़माने में जिनके हुनर बोलते हैं. It's now time to turn our attention to the voice of experience and wisdom. A diamond jubilee deserves a diamond personality. As the 75th chairperson, he truly reflects the brilliance of this historic milestone, leading not just a region but the most vibrant and dynamic among the 5 regional councils. He has inspired progress through his vision and dedication.
Some achievements are measured by numbers, while others are measured by the trust they inspire. Hosting a sub-regional conference once is an honor. Hosting it for the 3rd time is a reflection of confidence, vision, and leadership. Behind this remarkable achievement stands a leader who believed in potential of Akola branch. Saurabh sir reposed his faith in the branch, trusted its capabilities, and gave opportunity to host this prestigious sub-regional conference at Shegaon.
With these words, the success of this conference stands as a testament to the leadership and steadfast.
I believe that we all travel from our natives to attend this conference, so I am expecting little more energy from your side. Jai Gajanan! Dignitaries on the dais, respected Vice President Sir, CA Mangesh P. Kinre Sir, our own Vice President I can say. We have Chairman of the hosting branch, that is the Akola branch. Guys, hosting such a big conference is required lot of efforts, lot of hard work, commitment. Let's have a big round of applause for Akola branch and all other supporting branches for hosting such a big conference where we can evidence the networking, engagement, connections will flow in next 2 days. Then we have presence of Vice Chairperson of WRC, CA Rikin Patel on the dais. Secretary, again a dynamic personality who is always available to support WRC in all manner, CA Bishan Shah. Treasurer, Rakesh Shah ji. We do have presence of nominee of this wonderful hosting branch and asset to regional council member, CA Jiten Saglani. We do have presence of Secretary of Akola branch, Vishal Rajpal. Friends, it is a power of Gajanan Maharaj in which we always believe, and that is why we have presence of our own Vice President, CA Mangesh P. Kinre sir, with us. Let's welcome with a big round of applause. 10 days before, we were having different thought process that how sir will travel and all, but it is really a power of the Gajanan Maharaj and the belief of our Vice President sir in this divine place, and that is why he can accommodated his schedule and joined us over here. It is really a big thing for all of us. We do have presence of Central Council members with us, CA Durgesh Kabra ji, under whom you can say I have learned so many things in this career of my regional council. Thank you, Durgesh sir, for having your presence. We do have Central Council member Umesh Sharma ji, Piyush Chajed ji, in absentia Arpit Kabra ji. And I want to highlight that Arpit bhai was the chairman when I was the secretary, and we hosted in 2023 the sub-regional in the same premises. And from that day, I have noticed and in my mind that whenever I got an opportunity to serve the largest regional council, I will definitely try to arrange sub-regional in the same premises with the more energetic way, more powerful way. And today, the dream which I saw earlier is now fulfilled. We do have presence of past Central Council member and again a mentor to whom I learned so many things for the protocol of ICAI, CA Anil Bhandari ji. Let's welcome with a big round of applause. We do have presence of the army of regional council member. Those are supporting me in this tenure in a more efficient way, more committed way. So I must thank to all the RCMs, CA Kamlesh Abuji, CA Piyush Chandakji, CA Abhishek Damne, CA Sanjay Nikam, CA Vijendra Jain, all are here in absentia. Those are joining tomorrow. And all the members from all across the Maharashtra, and we have participants from Goa, Mumbai, Bangalore. So this is really a great sub-regional where we can have participation from each corner of Maharashtra, more than 25 cities participating in this sub-regional conference. So let's have a big round of applause for each one of you.
Saurabh sir.
Let's welcome with a big round of applause our guest of honor. Sir, requesting you to join on the dais, sir, please.
युवा सोच, ऊंचे इरादे और नेतृत्व की नई मिसाल, जन सेवा को समर्पित दूरदर्शी नेतृत्व के प्रतीक हमारे आदरणीय सांसद महोदय सर.
It's our privilege to welcome our youngest statesman with dedicated public service, whose visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to development continue to inspire generation. With immense pleasure,
I invite CA Saurabh Ajmera sir and CA Romil Sojatia to please welcome Anoopji Dhotre sir with the floral welcome, shawl and the memento.
So I was mentioning about the power of this wonderful venue, the divine feeling, the energetic feeling, and that is why we are again and again coming to this premises to host our sub-regional conference. I must compliment to each one of you because I have seen the data of the participants. We have near to 600 participation in this wonderful conference, and 50% of the members are the regular members. Those are attending from 2018, 2023, and now they are also joining. So it is really a big support from each one of you. Friends, since we have with us our chief guest and guest of honor, I will not take much of time. I just want to say that this year at WIRC, we are committing ourselves to empower all our members and accelerating this profession. And we are targeting 3 I's, which is very, very important in the professional area. One is the innovation, which we are targeting at the best at WIRC. So I request each one of you, please follow innovation at the best in your life, because innovation is a key which will provide you something ahead of the curve in compared to your competitor. And then we are targeting to invest in future. So requesting each one of you, please invest in future rather than committing yourself only on the present side, because if you are investing on the future, then you will have a great opportunity, as our country is also flourishing in terms of economic size. We are heading towards the 35 trillion US dollar economy size by 2047 as committed by our government. And from 4 trillion to 35 trillion, if any profession will be benefited, mostly that will be the chartered accountant. So definitely we have to take participation with investment in future in terms of professional excellence and emerging opportunity, then definitely we will be benefited. Then friends, third one is that giving back to society, and that is the impact which we want to create on each and every stakeholder of our profession. At WIRC, we are committing ourselves to create impact, which is again started with innovation, change of mindset, in which we are targeting to have lot of things from compliance to consultancy, and we are focusing on the value addition. My request to all my members, please focus on value addition, because we are in the transforming edge of our profession where compliance will be automated by technology, but consultancy and value addition is a thing which is mostly we are possessing as a chartered accountant, and it is our key as a function. Then professional excellence also we are targeting through the impact which we want to create, and we are the part of ICAI, which is known as partner in nation building. And in recent visit of Japan, that is international study tour. One thing I want to highlight, it is very, very interesting. When we were having interaction with the Japanese stakeholder, they said, whenever we are looking upon India, and whenever we are looking upon a setup in terms of factory, in terms of premises or service hub in India, the first trusted partner came into picture in our mind is chartered accountant. So it is really a big thing that we carry such respect amongst all our stakeholders. Friends, let's target best to achieve through this profession. I want to say 2 lines that यू जमी पे बैठ के क्यों आसमां देखना है, यू जमी पे बैठ के क्यों आसमां देखना है, पंखों को खोल दो यारों, जमाना सिर्फ उड़ान देखता है, जमाना सिर्फ उड़ान देखता है. एंड टेक योर फ्लाई विद WIRC and ICAI. With these, welcome you all again in this wonderful sub-regional conference, Gran Uday 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh sir.
नेतृत्व वही जो विश्वास जगाए, सेवा वही जो हर दिल तक पहुंच जाए, संघर्ष और सेवा को जिसने अपना धर्म बनाया, अकोला की आवाज को लोकसभा तक पहुंचाया, सरल सोच, सशक्त संकल्प और जनहित का
पूर्ण शब्दों के साथ हम अपने माननीय मुख्य अतिथि श्री अनूप जी धोत्रे जी का सादर अभिनंदन करते हुए उन्हें अनुरोध करते हैं कि वह मंच पर पधार कर इस ज्ञान पर्व की गरिमा में 4 चांद लगाएं.
आज संत गजानन महाराज इनकी नगरी में इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स इंडिया की सभी मेंबर्स का मैं स्वागत करता हूँ. जब CA एज अ प्रोफेशन आज आने के पहले मैं खुद से जब इस प्रोफेशन को कोरिलेट कर रहा था, जैसे बीइंग अ पॉलिटिशियन ऑल्सो, एज ऑल ऑफ यू आर अवेयर, इट्स अ फुल टाइम जॉब. और चाहे वो लॉयर्स हो, डॉक्टर्स हो, चार्टर अकाउंटेंट्स हो, कई बार उनके लाइफ में क्या चलता है, वो कैसे परफॉर्म करते हैं, कैसे अच्छे परफॉर्म करते हैं, इसको मैं हमेशा अपने जीवन से कंपेयर करता हूँ, अपनी डे टू डे एक्टिविटीज़ से भी कई इंस्पिरेशन कि मैंने कैसे इम्प्रूव करना चाहिए, इसके बारे में मैं कई बार सोचता हूँ. आज आते आते भी मैं यही सोच रहा था कि CA ऐसा प्रोफेशन है कि उसे हर चीज़ का एक्सपोजर रहता है. जो उसके क्लाइंट्स रहते हैं उसके फैमिली को भी उसका इतना डिटेल पता नहीं रहता जितना एक चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट को उसका सब कुछ पता रहता है. मतलब उसके ज़िंदगी में क्या दिक्कतें आ रही है, क्या सक्सेस मिल रहा है, चाहे वो स्टैटिस्टिक्स के माध्यम से जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट को हम रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट के भी कई अच्छे फिगर्स हमारे यहाँ पे आते हैं. रिसेंटली महाराष्ट्र में एक 1 डिस्ट्रिक्ट 1 प्रोडक्ट ऐसा कॉन्सेप्ट संपूर्ण इंडिया में लाया गया और महाराष्ट्र में भी लाया गया. और मेरा जो दिल्ली का एड्रेस है, वहाँ पे मुझे एक बुक मिली और उसमें एक प्रेजेंटेशन उस माध्यम से लाया गया था. उस प्रेजेंटेशन में जिस डिस्ट्रिक्ट को और जिस कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी को मैं रिप्रेजेंट करता हूँ, वो अकोला और वाशिम है, तो वहाँ के जो डिटेल्स थे, वो डिटेल्स जैसे अपेक्षित थे, जो फिगर्स थे, वो उस प्रकार से उसमें दिए नहीं गए थे. मेरे यहाँ पे जो मिल्स हैं, उनके फिगर्स लगभग 10% ही उसमें रिप्रेजेंट किए गए. और तभी मुझे याद आया कि अगर ये रिपोर्ट कोई CA ने अगर बनाई रहती थी, तो ये फिगर्स परफेक्टली उस किताब में आते थे. आने वाले समय में भी जो हमारे एसोसिएशन के माध्यम से एक मोदी जी ने जो एक विजन देखा है, एक प्लान किया है कि आने वाले 2047 में हमें विकसित भारत एज अ डेवलप कंट्री दुनिया के सामने जाना है. और इसमें जो हमारी संगठन है, जो हमारी एसोसिएशन है, वो मुझे लगता है आने वाले समय में एक महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका ज़रूर निभाएगी. जब भी बिजनेस की बात आती है तो उससे हम कोरिलेट करते हैं एम्प्लॉयमेंट से. और आज भी हम देख सकते हैं कि 140-145 करोड़ की आबादी वाला हमारा भारत देश है, और बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज आने वाले समय में एम्प्लॉयमेंट क्रिएशन का हमारे पास रहने वाला है। जो सारी गवर्नमेंट की स्कीम्स हैं उसमें एक जो गवर्नमेंट ने जिस पे बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंस जिसको दिया है वो है कि क्रेडिट अवेलेबिलिटी का, कि बिजनेस का सबसे बड़ी जो लाइफलाइन है वो क्रेडिट अवेलेबल रहना चाहिए। क्रेडिट बैंक्स थ्रू रिजनेबल रेट में रहना चाहिए और जो सब्सिडीज़ है वो भी प्रायोरिटी में सब्सिडीज़ अलग अलग प्रकार की हो सकती है, चाहे वो जीएसटी के माध्यम से सब्सिडी हो, चाहे वो डायरेक्ट लोन में एक बड़ी अमाउंट गवर्नमेंट बेयर करके सब्सिडी हो, पर सबसे बड़ी प्रायोरिटी गवर्नमेंट ने इंटरेस्ट सबवेंशन, ये बेनिफिट अगर बिजनेसमैन को मिले, उसका अगर इंटरेस्ट रेट ये कम से कम रेट में रहे तो उसका फ़ायदा आने वाले समय में हो सकता है। इस विजन के साथ में गवर्नमेंट आगे आई है। साथ ही साथ सरकार ने स्टार्टअप को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कैसा महत्व हम दे सकते हैं उसके तरफ ध्यान दिया है। उसके साथ ही और आज इस प्रोग्राम के माध्यम से मैं आपसे भी यही रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि गवर्नमेंट का एक और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा जो इम्पोर्टेंस गवर्नमेंट दे रही है वो है एक्सपोर्ट प्रमोशन के लिए। आप में से कई लोग इसमें अवेयरनेस आपके पास भी होगा कि जो एक्सपोर्ट है उसे प्रमोट करने के लिए सरकार ने 20 करोड़ तक क्रेडिट गारंटी ये स्कीम लाई है। इस माध्यम से ज़्यादा एक्सपोर्ट हमारे यहाँ से हो सकता है। जैसे हम स्टार्टअप्स को इम्पोर्टेंस दे रहे हैं वैसे ही सेकेंड जनरेशन थर्ड जनरेशन जो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स है, गवर्नमेंट चाहती है कि ये सेकेंड जनरेशन और थर्ड जनरेशन वाले जो बिजनेसमैन हैं ये आने वाले समय में ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा एक्सपोर्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्राम्स हम कैसे कर सकते हैं उस दिशा में हम काम कर रहे हैं। एक एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर में गवर्नमेंट ने ये देखा है कि अगर फूड प्रोसेसिंग इसको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा अगर हम इस तरफ अगर ध्यान दें तो फार्मर्स को जो उनके प्रोड्यूस का रेट मिलना चाहिए उसका भी फ़ायदा ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हो सकता है। और उसी पहल में एफपीओज़ को एक फार्मर्स की जो कंपनीज़ हैं उसको लीगल एग्जिस्टेंस कैसे लाया जाए, और इसके लिए एफपीओज़ इस दिशा में भी सरकार ने काफ़ी अच्छी पहल की है और काफ़ी अच्छी स्कीम्स एफपीओज़ के लिए गवर्नमेंट ने लाई है। आज इस कार्यक्रम द्वारा आप लोग सभी लोग शेगांव जो अकोला से 45 किलोमीटर दूरी है, आप सभी लोग आए, आप लोगों ने आपका कीमती समय निकाला है। आप सभी लोग महाराष्ट्र के हैं, सभी जगह गर्मी रहती है। अभी थोड़ा मौसम भले ही अच्छा हो पर आप सभी जानते हैं कि ये जो साइकिल है, जैसे बिजनेस की अलग अलग साइकिल चलती है वैसे ही मौसम की इस साइकिल में आप अच्छे मौसम में आप आए हैं। मैं हमेशा चाहता हूँ कि लोग जब आते हैं अकोला शेगांव तो अच्छी यादें वो लेके जाए। आप सभी को पुनः इस गंगानंद महाराज की नगरी में आप सभी लोगों का स्वागत करता हूँ। कई चीज़ें आपके साथ में डिस्कस भी करनी है, कई बार आपके माध्यम से कई फीडबैक्स जो हम सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को दे सके। मोदी जी ने लास्ट सेशन में ही जो बजट सेशन के पहले एक हमारी मीटिंग ली थी और मीटिंग में स्टेट वाइज एमपीज़ को बुला के उन्होंने ये हमें बताया कि आपके आके जो अलग अलग प्रोफेशन में लोग हैं उनसे आप बजट में क्या सुझाव रहेंगे, क्या चेंजेस करना चाहिए, इसके बारे में आप उनके माध्यम से फीडबैक लीजिए। मुझे लगता है कि सिंप्लीफिकेशन ऑफ टैक्सेशन, इस पर कई चेंजेस सरकार के माध्यम से लाए गए हैं। जो मिनिस्टर ऑफ कॉमर्स है वो भी चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट है। एक महाराष्ट्र में एक जो नेता कई बार न्यूज़ में चलता है और जिनसे बहुत ज़्यादा मेरा संपर्क आता है वो माननीय किरीट जी सोमैया, उनकी भी पहचान पहले पॉलिटिशियन से भी पहली जो उनकी पहचान है वो सीए करके है। और कई बार मुझे ऐसी मतलब मुझे ही नहीं, भारतीय जनता पार्टी के जो हमारे एमएलएज हैं इनको भी कई बार आश्चर्य लगता है कि जो हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में चल रहा है जो चेंजेस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में हो रहा है वो किरीट जी को कैसे पता चलते हैं? तो मुझे लगता है कि एक सीए वही जानता है कि उसके पास में जो एक्सेस होता है और एक्सेस के साथ में ही आंकड़ों को कैसे एनालाइज किया जाए, उसका फ़ायदा कैसे लिया जाए, ये एक चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट से अच्छा मेरे हिसाब से कोई नहीं जानता है। अंत में एक ही सब्जेक्ट पे मैं फोकस करूंगा कि जो चैलेंज आने वाले समय में और अभी हमारे देश पे है वो है पॉल्यूशन का। आज कार्बन क्रेडिट की हम बात करते हैं और कार्बन क्रेडिट में क्रेडिट शब्द जो है वो कहीं ना कहीं आप लोगों से ही जुड़ा है। सरकार जो बिजनेस है उसे रिस्ट्रिक्शन के माध्यम से उसकी जो ग्रोथ है वो रोकना नहीं चाहती है, परंतु आने वाले समय में देश में पॉल्यूशन ना हो, फॉसिल फ्यूल की जगह अगर हम न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी हो, हम एथेनॉल हो, ऐसे ऑप्शंस की तरफ अगर हम जाएंगे तो उसका भी बेनिफिट हो सकता है। आजकल E20 और E85 ये पॉलिटिशियंस और लोगों में बहुत ज़्यादा डिस्कशन में है, परंतु देश की इकोनॉमी के लिए हम आने वाले समय में इंपोर्ट्स ये कैसे कम से कम कर सकते हैं, इस दिशा में हम ज़रूर आपके सभी के फीडबैक के माध्यम से, आप सभी लोगों के गाइडेंस के माध्यम से और आपसे जुड़े हुए सारे ही बिजनेस के माध्यम से हम पॉल्यूशन इसे कैसे टैकल कर सकते हैं और पॉल्यूशन के साथ ही साथ हमारा जो करेंसी का आउटफ्लो है ये आने वाले समय में हम कैसे रोक सकते हैं, इस दिशा में ज़रूर आपके माध्यम से हम काम करेंगे। 12 बजे माननीय गडकरी जी ये कनेक्ट होकर हमें मार्गदर्शन देने वाले हैं, इसीलिए मैं अपने शब्दों को विराम देता हूँ। आप सभी लोगों ने मुझे सुना, एसोसिएशन के माध्यम से हम मेरा स्वागत किया, इसलिए मैं आप सभी के आभार मानता हूँ। जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र।
Chartered accountants strengthen its foundation through integrity, transparency, and financial stewardship.
Flight Jnanoday is now preparing for a truly distinguished connection. Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, Minister of Road Transport and Highways, has transformed the nation's road network and pathways of growth and development. It's indeed our honor and great privilege to have Minister going live through video conference at 12 p.m. So please stay tuned for the same.
An inspiring personality deserves an inspiring introduction. To have the honor of introducing a visionary leader, I request technical team, please play the video to introduce Honorable Nitin Gadkari ji.
Seems to be no video for Mr. Gadkari ji. In fact, he doesn't need one, I guess. So we would request, it's our privilege to welcome the torch bearer of ICAI, CM Mangesh. To please.
Jai Gajanan. Honorable dignitaries on the dais, Honorable Member of Parliament, Shri Anup Sanjay Dhotre ji, Chairman of Western India Regional Council, C. Saurabh Ajmera, Vice Chairman Rikin Patel, Secretary Bishan Shah, Treasurer Rakesh Shah, Regional Council Member Branch Nominee Jiten Saglani, the Chairman of Akola Branch Romil Sojatia, the Secretary Vishal Rajpal. Of the dais, my Central Council colleagues, C. Durgesh Kabra, C. Umesh Sharma, C. Piyush Chajet, C. Arpit Kabra, Regional Council members present here, the chairpersons of Nagpur, Amravati, Ahilyanagar, Jalgaon, Pune branches, respected seniors, and my dear professional colleagues. It's my privilege to be here in this holy city or holy nagari of Sant Gajanan Maharaj, and I'm fortunate to be here in this program as a Vice President of ICAI. सुबह उनके चरणों में लीन होके आया हूँ तो मन में बड़ी प्रसन्नता है. Of course, I forgot to take the name of C. Anil Bhandari, past Central Council member. So, some divine force, certainly we find when we visit Gajanan Maharaj and take blessings. And it so happened today that for Western region, the blessings have been showered today because the foundation result is out and all three first ranks are from Western region. The first rank holder is from Nashik. Second rank holder is from same area, Chandrapur. And third rank holder is from Pune. I don't know whether it is coincidence or not, but the results which I have been witnessing after becoming vice president, somewhere the Western region flag is flying high. But yes, this is a pride of those students, and as well as we as a community in a Western region. At the same time, as the teachings from Gajanan Maharaj, Sant Gajanan Maharaj emphasize simplicity, truthfulness, humility, and compassionateness. We will have this with us and without having any ego, as Gajanan Maharaj, Sant Gajanan Maharaj always being emphasizing. We will march forward as a Western region, and I'm pretty sure under the leadership of Saurabh, this Western region will add new accolades to its glory. The Western region is celebrating 75 years. Rather, all regional councils are celebrating 75 years. And it's very nice to begin this with the blessings of Gajanan Maharaj. Our chief guest here, Honorable MP Shri Anup Dhotreji, I was just going through when I met him just now, and very pleased to understand that he is one of such MP. After getting elected, all the sessions of the parliament, he has 100% attendance. Moreover, as you would have witnessed in his speech, right, his area, although he's a commerce graduate, as he said, his areas of interest, in fact, the questions raised, I was just Googling it, and the questions raised in the parliament are on varied areas, starting from agriculture to railway to sustainability to MSME startup to insolvency code also. Dhotreji has participated in the debates in the parliament, so that goes to show his versatile knowledge and understanding about the complete country ecosystem as such. So thank you, sir, for being here as a guest for this sub-regional conference. Friends, I have to hold the fort till the Gadkari ji joins, and I have to immediately sit down and whenever Gadkari sir joins. So let me brief you very quickly. First of all, the council of the institute, how it is functioning or what things are going on from the perspective of the membership at large. Many times the question arises in the minds of the chartered accountants and members, and we are pleased that Member of Parliament is on the dais, whether the government listens to our institute or not. Right? बहुत बार ऐसा सवाल आता है ना? But let's be very clear and introspect ourselves that this kind of a question comes only when we are near the tax audit finalization date, right? Or return filing dates. That time only we come to know, because the life is so much attached to these dates. We forget that we have some larger goals in front of us as a chartered accountants, as Sanjay ji has mentioned in his speech also. In fact, all my Central Council colleagues would agree that the government is taking our view and respecting our view on each and every aspect. And let me tell you very frankly that let's not be attached to mere compliances. What happens is, हम लोग मांगते समय बहुत कुछ छोटा मांगने जाते हैं, right? एक date extend करो sir एक महीने के लिए. Now that reduces our dignity, in fact, and the professional expertise in the light of the regulators and even the government also. In fact, the government, now all our council members are sitting here. Let's take example of Durgesh Kabraji. He is dealing in insolvency and he is the chairman of Insolvency, Bankruptcy Code and Valuation Standard Board. Now, in each of the amendments, we are being consulted, and wherever there are certain notifications, Durgesh has been representing very well to the government in this regard. In fact, the corporate Mitra scheme, which is being launched by the government is heavily dependent on the chartered accountants also. And Durgesh is heading the corporate Mitra committee of ICAI. And they have been appreciative of the fact that the ICAI has been front runner as far as the implementation of corporate Mitra scheme is concerned. With corporate Mitra scheme, government has also come up with a Prime Minister internship scheme, that is PMIS. And there also, we have been hand in hand with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in implementing that scheme. Let's take case of Umesh Sharma ji. We are doing so many of our contribution as far as GST is concerned. He is heading GST committee. And as far as GST is concerned, the ICAI is the main contributor, and whatever government wants to do, the ICAI is being not only consulted, but also being asked to impart the training to the government officers. Now, we are training the government officers. That is a very, very important, and that is something which is demanded by respective state governments as well as central government. Umesh is also a vice chairman, rather, last year he was a chairman of AI committee. In AI also, recently we had an AI summit. Some of you might have attended that. The government, the minister who attended there, Gajendra Singh Shekhawat ji, has lauded the role of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in AI. To take the example of Piyush Chajit ji, Piyush is leading the Corporate Law Committee. Now, Corporate Law Amendment Bill is something which is very important for us. Maybe perhaps in this area, the corporate audits or corporate consultancies may not be that much. But from the profession at large, perspective of profession at large, the Corporate Law Amendment Bill is very important. And Piyush has steered our entire representation single-handedly, very efficiently in front of the entire Parliamentary Standing Committee. He is also Vice Chairman of Professional Development Committee, which is again taking number of efforts for new professional development opportunities for chartered accountants. The youngest of the member of the council members, Arpit Kabraji, is leading the Placement Directorate as well as Career Counseling Committee. Now, needless to say, the number of records he can make, we have to simply count those records because he is a record man. And Career Counseling Committee has already started doing the work. The predecessor, Durgesh Kabraji, has laid down the task, and now he is taking it forward in right earnest so that our course should reach to the nooks and corners of the country, because this is such a course which can be afforded by poorest of poor person. The only thing is that we should take that course forward. Why I am telling you all these things is that these activities of the institute can be percolated down in this area also. Arpit is also leading the Placement Directorate. And Dhotre Sahib, let me tell you that this year, we have more vacancies than the applicants. So Arpit has brought so many of the corporates for the interviews of the newly qualified chartered accountants. So he is not only encouraging students to become a chartered accountant, but after becoming chartered accountant also how they will be placed properly, that also has been seen. Now, why I am telling you all these things is, as a council, the activities are not simply organizing the programs, not simply seeing that what are the compliance issues are there. Institute has number of wide activities and wide range of activities. And all the council members are taking efforts in this regard and trying to see that the profession is not only benefited for themselves, but profession will add some value to the country's development and would see that we are the main contributor in Viksit Bharat 2047. Friends, in the recently concluded the CA Foundation Day ceremony, I don't know how many of you have seen that, we have inaugurated the online, rather completely online system of peer review. Now, peer review mechanism is such an important mechanism for us. We have thoroughly revised the guidelines, even understanding the small and medium practitioners. But these guidelines will still require many of us to get registered and get peer reviewed as early as possible. This online peer review portal which is being launched will definitely help us and make this peer review process very simple. So you are all requested to go through it and make any suggestions in this regard to any of the council members or even to me also, of course. The Dhotre Sahib mentioned about the new areas where the chartered accountants should also venture. Let me tell you, sir, we are in the process of revamping our entire curriculum now. Generally, we have a system of revamping the curriculum every 10 years, but considering the new areas which are coming up, the recent technological development which are going on, the ICAI thought that we should revamp our curriculum every 5 years. Last time we had revised our curriculum in 2023, and now we have already started the process. The Committee for Review of Education and Training has been formed. All the council members being part of that committee have been taking a lot of efforts in this regard. But that is again not sufficient. Only 32 elected members are not the wise people in this country. There are many wise people who could not contest the election or who might have contested the election but not still successful. But still, we can contribute to the institute. For contribution to the institute, it is not necessary that one should be an elected member. You can approach any of us or you can write mail to the institute. Basically, this curriculum which we want to bring now, it will not only be the curriculum which will be a testing curriculum, but at the same time, it will be as per the needs of the current developments. And if you see the name of the committee, it is not only the syllabus. It is a committee for review of education as well as training. So it is not only the syllabus of which paper or which subject to be added or deleted. How the holistic training of the chartered accountant should be structured or restructured. That entire thought process is rigorously going on. It is expected that we will come out with first cut in 100 days' time. The President always gives us 100 days time for each and every target. But after that, it will be exposed, it will be given for exposure for public comments. It will be also, some outreach programs will be held. I would sincerely urge the fraternity to contribute in this regard. The more the questions, the more the suggestions come, it will be easier to frame. Of course, all the suggestions cannot be accepted and it will not be accepted. Right? One should not be, discouraged because my suggestion is not accepted. Because when we design something, it is considering not only the entire country, but also the world, globally what is required from chartered accountants. So at times we may feel that something is important. In Maharashtra, we may feel the cooperative is important, it should be included in curriculum. But it is not considering the global needs, considering the national needs, it may not be necessary at all. But that should not prevent us from giving these suggestions for the betterment of this curriculum. And friends, collectively, we will definitely come up with such a curriculum for the entire globe that our course is of course recognized in India as well as abroad. But it will be widespread throughout the world so that the Indian chartered accountants, which are already recognized in the entire globe, will be further recognized and further well accepted in all the corner of world and not only India. Today, we have 187 branches now in India, number of foreign chapters and representative offices, and many places we have a mutual recognition agreements. On CA Day only, we have renewed the mutual recognition agreement with CPA Australia. And they were very keen to have this renewed from their side also. The next step would be to recognize and reciprocate the audit rights also in different countries. Now, when we do that, we definitely expect the standards which are displayed by the local chartered accountants will be of highest regard. Let's come. Joining? Shall I stop? Yeah. So let's collectively in this holy town of Santa Gajanan Maharaj pledge that we will ensure that standards professional standards which we disseminate will be of high standards so that our institute will be recognized as it is recognized right now, but much further also we will have many opportunities globally, and we will take our profession to the next level. Thank you very much for patient listening. Thank you, the Akola branch, for inviting me here. Thank you, Saurabh, WRC, for inviting me in this conference. Thanks a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's our honor to welcome Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, sir, to our sub-regional conference at Shegaon. Though distance separates us physically, technology has brought us together in spirit. It's our indeed great honor and privilege. Minister himself in his live video conferencing.
आपको मेरा आवाज आ रहा है?
We have arrived at sacred land of Shegaon, where faith inspires and knowledge flourishes. And this journey to Shegaon has been made smoother by the very road that symbolizes progress and connectivity, as one of the key architects of India's modern highway and infrastructure. Gadkari ji is indeed the most important and a network in the nation's road network and pathways for growth and development. As it contains everything you need for a smooth and enriching experience in the conference. Before you continue your journey of knowledge, please ensure your lunch coupon is safe with you, as it will be your boarding pass to a delicious lunch experience.
Kindly remember to mark your CPE attendance and submit it as per the prescribed guidelines because every hour of learning contributes to our professional journey. We are also delighted to inform you that our photo booth is now open, the coupon for which is provided in the kit. Capture your conference memories and enjoy an instant printed photograph, a perfect souvenir to take home for this wonderful journey.
And finally, don't forget to drop your lucky draw coupons into the lucky draw box before the designated time. You never know when fortune may call your name for the silver coins. Attendance in the hall is prerequisite for participation in the lucky draw.
WRC भी कार्यरत है। हम लोग भी हमारे सारे जो चैप्टर्स हैं, स्टडी सर्कल्स हैं, उनको हमारी स्पॉन्सरशिप शेयर करते हैं फॉर द स्टार्टअप प्रोग्राम्स टू रन. वी हैव ऑल्सो वन MOU with one of the incubation center of government of Gujarat, that is iHub, where they are promoting startups in the state and in the country as well. If Maharashtra government is also willing to do the same along with the chartered accountants, we are ready to give our all the knowledge and mentorship to the startups as well, because chartered accountants are catalyst. We know कि वो स्टार्टअप चल सकता है कि नहीं चल सकता है, उसको कैसे गाइड करना है, कैसे आगे ले जाना है, तो उसके लिए भी हम सब chartered accountants from the WRC can help. And this time our impactful chairman CS Saurabh Ajmera ji has taken this initiative to promote startup ecosystem in the state itself. Yes, sir.
We are indeed honored to have you here with us through live video conferencing.
नमस्कार. रीजनल कॉन्फ्रेंस जो है ज्ञान उदय के नाम से द इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स ऑफ इंडिया, सबसे पहले मैं आप सबका बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं भी आप सबको देता हूं और आप सबका स्वागत भी करता हूं. संत गजानन महाराज की पवित्र भूमि शेगांव के रूप में हम सब के लिए बहुत ही श्रद्धा का स्थान है. और एज ए चार्टर अकाउंटेंट मैं आपको एक रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि मंदिर मैनेजमेंट कैसे होनी चाहिए, इसका हिंदुस्तान का सबसे अच्छा उदाहरण एक शेगांव के रूप में है. और मैंने नागपुर में वेद करके संस्था है, उनको मैंने कहा था कि आप मंदिर मैनेजमेंट के इस विषय का आप स्टडी करो, रिसर्च करो. उन्होंने उसका अध्ययन किया और उसको विकसित करके अपने चैरिटेबल ट्रस्ट को मंदिर चलाने के लिए उपयोगी कोर्स वहाँ हो सकता है. निश्चित रूप से
आप सबको उस भूमि में आगे बहुत अच्छा कार्य करने की प्रेरणा मिलेगी, ऐसा मुझे विश्वास है। वसंत खंडेलवाल जी और आपके पदाधिकारी मुझे मिले थे और उन सब ने मुझे अनुरोध किया था कि मैं शेगांव में आऊँ, पर आज ही मैं कल दिन भर मुंबई में था, करीब 5-6 कार्यक्रम थे और सुबह आज नागपुर आया हूँ और नागपुर में भी व्यस्त कार्यक्रम होने के कारण मैं शेगांव नहीं आ पाया हूँ, इसलिए मैं आप सबकी क्षमा मांगता हूँ। ये कॉन्फ्रेंस थीम जो है ज्ञान उदय, इस नाम से है, ये मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा। देखो अभी इसके बाद विश्व में उसी की कीमत होने वाली है, उसी की ताकत साबित होने वाली है और वही विश्व में भविष्य में यशस्वी होने वाले हैं जिनके पास नॉलेज एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, शक्तिशाली टेक्नोलॉजी और ज्ञान एक ताकत के रूप में जिन राष्ट्रों के पास है। मैं अक्सर एक बात का उल्लेख करते रहता हूँ कि इनोवेशन, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी, रिसर्च, स्किल एंड सक्सेसफुल प्रैक्टिसेस, we name it as knowledge, and conversion of knowledge into wealth is the future. आप सबको पता है कि डिजिटल से अभी हम एआई की तरफ मूव हो रहे हैं और इसलिए स्वाभाविक रूप से सभी क्षेत्रों में एक क्रांतिकारी परिवर्तन होने वाला है। एक बात जरूर है कि हमारी जो वर्तमान काल में जो नेतृत्व है, उनको वर्तमान काल में भूतकाल के अनुभव का इसलिए सोचना चाहिए कि भूतकाल में हमारी कुछ कमियां हैं, गलतियां हैं, तो उसको हम सुधार करके वर्तमान काल में आगे कैसे जाए। और वर्तमान काल में हमको ये सोचना है कि भविष्य में हमको हमारा उद्देश्य क्या है, हमको कहाँ पहुँचना है, इसका सपना, इसकी विजन हमें निश्चित रूप से सामने रखकर आगे चलना होगा। मैं बहुत बार एक बात का उल्लेख करता हूँ कि यू कैन डोनेट आई बट यू कैन नॉट डोनेट विजन। Lack of appropriate vision for futuristic development is the need of the hour. और इसलिए हमें सब क्षेत्रों में 25 साल के बाद, 50 साल के बाद हमारा ये क्षेत्र कैसा होगा, इसका सोचना होगा। और ये सोचते हुए उसके लिए हमको क्या करना है, उसका प्लानिंग इन एडवांस, प्लानिंग इन डिटेल तैयार करना होगा। आपके भाषा में आप इसको प्रोजेक्ट प्रोफाइल या डिटेल प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट कहते हैं। We need to plan futuristic development plan with the appropriate vision which is equivalent to world standard, और वो उद्दिष्टों को सामने रखकर फिर उसको इम्प्लीमेंट कैसा करना है, इसका नीति निर्धारण आपको करना होगा। सबसे पहले इम्पॉर्टेंट ये है कि आपका जो क्षेत्र है वो इंडस्ट्री, बिजनेस, ट्रेड और व्यापार के साथ संबंधित है और इसलिए स्वाभाविक रूप से हमारे बिजनेस में यही है कि हमें किस प्रकार की ग्रोथ करनी है। अगर सिंपल भाषा में कहा जाए तो हमें एक्सपोर्ट को बढ़ाना होगा, इंपोर्ट को कम करना होगा। अब एक्सपोर्ट को बढ़ाना है तो इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में हमको लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट कम करनी होगी। अभी हमने रोड अच्छे बनाए, फ्यूल में बदलाव लाया, इलेक्ट्रिक ट्रक्स, बसेस आ रही, तो नेचुरली हमारी लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट कम हो रही है। मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ कि IIM बेंगलोर और IIT कानपुर और IIT चेन्नई ने एक अध्ययन किया और 6-7 महीने पहले रिपोर्ट प्रकाशित किया है और उन्होंने कहा कि भारत की लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट 6% कम हुई है। हमारी लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट GDP की तुलना में, उसकी तुलना में 16% थी। अमेरिका और यूरोपियन कंट्री, उनकी लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट 12% है और चाइना की लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट 8 to 9% है। और इसलिए चाइना का एक्सपोर्ट इसलिए ज़्यादा होता, वहाँ की इंडस्ट्री, ट्रेड, बिजनेस इसलिए बढ़ता कि उन्होंने अपनी लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट कम की। अब लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट कम करने के लिए हमको पहले अच्छे रोड बनाने चाहिए। अच्छे रोड बनाने के बारे में यहाँ तक हमारी सरकार आने के बाद हमने प्राधान्य दिया है और अभी बहुत अच्छे अभी मैं 13 तारीख को कानपुर से लखनऊ हाईवे का, एक्सप्रेस हाईवे का उद्घाटन करने जा रहा हूँ। जो हाईवे पहले 3 घंटे लगते थे तो अब कानपुर से लखनऊ आधे घंटे में हो जाएगा। अभी आपको पता होगा चेन्नई से बेंगलोर हमने वहाँ 4-5 घंटे लगते थे, अब चेन्नई से बेंगलोर 2 घंटे में हो जाएगा। मैसूर से बेंगलोर 3.5 घंटे लगते थे, अब 1 घंटे में हुआ है। दिल्ली से मेरठ 4 घंटे लगते थे, 45 मिनट में हुआ है। दिल्ली से जयपुर 4.5 घंटे लगते थे, अब 2.25 में हुआ है। दिल्ली से देहरादून 9 घंटे लगते थे, अब 2 घंटे में हुआ है। अब ऐसा पूरे देश में कश्मीर से कन्याकुमारी तक हमने रोड अच्छे जोड़ दिए और रोड जोड़ने के कारण निश्चित रूप से समय बच गया, फ्यूल बच गई और उसके साथ अब हम लोग अल्टरनेटिव और बायोफ्यूल पे काम कर रहे हैं। हमारा देश में 23 लाख करोड़ का फॉसिल फ्यूल इंपोर्ट होता है और अब हम उसके बजाय इलेक्ट्रिक, इथेनॉल, मिथेनॉल, बायोडीजल, एलएनजी और हाइड्रोजन पर हमारा पूरा हम ट्रांसपोर्ट कन्वर्ट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। और ये 22 लाख करोड़ रुपए जो बचाएंगे, ये देश के किसानों के जेब में जाए, ये हमारा सपना है। हमारा किसान केवल अन्नदाता नहीं, ऊर्जादाता बने, ईंधन दाता बने, हवाई ईंधन दाता बने, बिटुमिन डांबर दाता बने और उसके साथ साथ हमारा किसान, गांव गरीब मजदूर किसान का कल्याण करके गांव में रोजगार निर्माण हो और गांव समृद्ध संपन्न बने, ये हमारा प्रयास है। केवल स्मार्ट शहर नहीं, स्मार्ट विलेज बनाना हमारा उद्देश्य है और इसके लिए हमको एग्रीकल्चर में, विशेष रूप से एग्रीकल्चर और एग्रीकल्चर अलाइड सेक्टर, इसमें जल, जमीन, जंगल और जानवर आधारित बेस्ट टेक्नोलॉजी को विकसित करना होगा। और आपके जैसे जो चार्टर अकाउंटेंट हैं, उन्होंने इस बारे में इस प्रकार की टेक्नोलॉजी जो होगी उसके आधार पर हमें ऐसे डीपीआर बनाने पड़ेंगे कि जो निश्चित रूप से कमर्शियली सक्सेसफुल होंगे। मैंने आपको ये बताने की आवश्यकता नहीं है कि कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट में सक्सेस करने के लिए 4 बातों की जरूरी होती है: प्रूवन टेक्नोलॉजी, इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी, availability of raw material and marketability of the finished product. You need to understand the mood of the market. डिमांड एंड सप्लाई का रेशो क्या है, कहाँ पोटेंशियल है, कहाँ डिमांड है, कहाँ फ्यूचरिस्टिक डिमांड निर्माण होने वाली है और उसके लिए अप्रोप्रिएट टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करके हम किस प्रकार के प्रोडक्ट को तैयार करेंगे, उसके आधार पर ट्रेड बिजनेस बढ़ेगा, इकोनॉमी बढ़ेगी। और विश्वगुरु बनना है तो $5 ट्रिलियन की इकोनॉमी बनानी है। हमें विश्वगुरु बनना है तो हमें निश्चित रूप से आर्थिक दृष्टि से हमारे विकास की गति बढ़ानी होगी। मैं आपको एक छोटा सा उदाहरण देना चाहता हूँ कि मैं ट्रांसपोर्ट मंत्री होने के नाते ऑटोमोबाइल सेक्टर भी ध्यान देने की जिम्मेदारी मेरे पास है। मैं 2014 में मंत्री बना तो हमारे ऑटोमोबाइल सेक्टर का साइज जो था वो करीब 12-13 लाख करोड़ रुपए का था। ये उसके बाद में हम वर्ल्ड में 7वें नंबर पे थे और आज मुझे बताते हुए खुशी हो रही है कि आज हम 3रे नंबर पर पहुंचे हैं। हमने जापान को भी पीछे डालकर हम 3रे नंबर पर 22 लाख करोड़ रुपए की हमारी इंडस्ट्री बनी है, ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री। हमारी होंडा, बजाज, टीवीएस और टीवीएस, बजाज, होंडा और हीरो, ये 50% प्रोडक्शन एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं। ये 50% प्रोडक्शन जब एक्सपोर्ट होगा तो नेचुरली हमारे देश में कितने रोजगार निर्माण होंगे, आपको कितना काम मिलेगा। सीए की प्रैक्टिस तभी चलेगी ना कि जब बिजनेस बढ़ेगा। तो अगर बिजनेस एनसीएलटी में गया तो तुमको कौन रुपया देने वाला है। इसलिए ग्रोथ के साथ सभी जो स्टेक होल्डर्स है उनका फायदा है और इसलिए अब ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री में हमारा नंबर 3रा है। अमेरिका पहले नंबर पर है 79 लाख करोड़, चाइना दूसरे नंबर पर है 49 लाख करोड़ और इंडिया 3रे नंबर पर है 22 लाख करोड़। और मेरे मन में हमारा एक सपना है कि हम वर्ल्ड में पहले नंबर पर जाए और इसलिए अल्टरनेटिव फ्यूल, बायोफ्यूल में हमने काम शुरू किया। इथेनॉल, मिथेनॉल, बायोडीजल, एलएनजी, इलेक्ट्रिक, हाइड्रोजन, सब बातों के व्हीकल आ गए, सब टेक्नोलॉजी आ गई। अब वर्ल्ड में हमारी इलेक्ट्रिक स्कूटर एक्सपोर्ट हो रही है। अब वर्ल्ड में हम लोग अनेक जगह पर जा रहे हैं तो हमारा 22 लाख करोड़ अगर इकोनॉमी में इंपोर्ट बचेगा तो ये पैसा कहाँ जाएगा। ये पैसा आएगा अकोला जिले में, शेगांव में। क्योंकि यहाँ के किसानों को एक ही मैं बताऊं कि जब हमने मक्के से इथेनॉल बनाने का निर्णय किया तो जो इथेनॉल बना उस समय, इथेनॉल बनाने के पहले मक्के का भाव कमर्शियल प्राइस 1200 रुपये क्विंटल थी, मार्केट प्राइस, और एमएसपी जो थी वो करीब 1800 रुपये क्विंटल थी। अब देखिए, जैसे हमने मक्के से इथेनॉल बनाना शुरू किया तो मार्केट प्राइस हो गई 2800-2600 रुपये क्विंटल और यूपी और बिहार के किसानों के जेब में 45,000 करोड़ रुपए गए। आज जब किसान मक्का इसलिए लगा रहा था कि मक्के को भाव मिला, इसी प्रकार से अभी हमने मक्के से हमने बायोमास से राइस स्ट्रॉ से डांबर बनाया और डांबर से पहला NHI का रोड नागपुर जबलपुर हाईवे पर रामटेक के पास एक मनसर जगह है, वहाँ 1 किलोमीटर रोड बना। दैट इज प्रूव टू बी बेटर दैन पेट्रोलियम बिटुमेन। अब मैं हाइड्रोजन के गाड़ी में घूमता हूँ, पानी से हाइड्रोजन बनेगा, बायोमास से हाइड्रोजन बनेगा। तो नई नई जो इनोवेटिव टेक्नोलॉजी है, उन टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करके गांव गरीब मजदूर किसान को समृद्ध करना और गांव के तरुण लोगों के लिए रोजगार निर्माण करना, इसकी आवश्यकता है। और रोजगार निर्माण करने में आप जैसे माहिर लोग बहुत अच्छा प्लान कर सकते हैं। अभी मैं देहरादून, अपने उत्तराखंड के मुख्यमंत्री 3 दिन पहले मेरे पास आए थे, तो मैंने अच्छा रोड बनाया बद्रीनाथ केदारनाथ गंगोत्री यमुनोत्री का। अब इतने आने लगे पर्यटक कि अब उनको रोकना पड़ा। अब पर्यटन से कितने लोगों को रोजगार मिलता है, टैक्सी वालों को मिलता है, काम मिलता है, उधर उसके आधार पर रेस्टोरेंट होटल को काम मिलेगा। तो एक प्रकार से आज पर्यटन का क्षेत्र 49% एक्सपेंडिचर रोजगार निर्माण करने के लिए खर्चा होता है। हमें रोजगार निर्माण करने वाली अर्थव्यवस्था निर्माण करनी है, जल जमीन जंगल और जानवर आधारित टेक्नोलॉजी को विकसित करना है और गांव गरीब मजदूर किसान को समृद्ध संपन्न बनाना है, तभी हम आत्मनिर्भर भारत का सपना पूरा करने वाले हैं। और इसलिए आप जैसे जो टैलेंटेड है, होशियार लोग हैं, क्योंकि सीए बनना मामूली नहीं है। मैं आपको बताता हूँ, आप लोगों के प्रोफेशन में वही लोग पास होते हैं जो होशियार है। मुझे याद है हमारे नागपुर में जयदीप शाह करके चार्टर अकाउंटेंट थे, वो आपके सीए के ऑल इंडिया के अध्यक्ष भी रह चुके एसोसिएशन के। वो मेरे पास आते थे, तो मैंने उनको कहा कि आप एक काम करो जयदीप जी, आप ऐसा कोई कोर्स तैयार करो कि जो सीए तो नहीं, जो सीए की परीक्षा पास नहीं होते, जो एमकॉम किया होशियार लड़के, और सीए टेक्नीशियन ऐसा नाम देकर प्रिलिमिनरी काम वो कर पाएंगे। सीए जो सही कर सकता वो नहीं करेंगे। तो ऐसा कोई एक बीच में आप तैयार करिए। तो उन्होंने एक सीए टेक्नीशियन का कोर्स मेरे कहने पर तैयार किया था और आज मुझे खुशी है कि अपने देश में 4-5 लाख लोग इस निमित्त ऐसे तैयार किए सीए एसोसिएशन ने, जो सीए टेक्नीशियन के रूप में काम कर रहे हैं और उसका रोजगार निर्माण हुआ। यही सही विजन है और यही विजन जो है हमको एग्रीकल्चर से लेकर हर सेक्टर में भविष्य का विचार करते हुए हमारी विजन को प्लान करना पड़ेगा। और ये प्लान करने के लिए हमारी इकोनॉमी को मजबूत करना है, तो हमें पब्लिक प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टमेंट को लाना पड़ेगा। अभी मैं रोड में हूँ, मेरे पास कोई रिसोर्सेस की कमी नहीं है। 3,25,000 करोड़ का बजट है और 15 लाख करोड़ तो मैं ऐसे 1-2 महीने में मैं मोनेटाइज कर सकता हूँ, इतना मेरे पास प्रोजेक्ट पड़े हुए हैं। और मेरा टोल इनकम ही 58,000 करोड़ साल का है और वो 1 लाख करोड़ हो जाएगा और मैं उसको मोनेटाइज करते जाऊँगा और मोनेटाइज करते हुए वो प्रोजेक्ट को फिर नया मोनेटाइज करते जाऊँगा, तो पैसे ही पैसे हैं। मैंने मथुरा में जो गंदा पानी है वो हाइब्रिड एन्युटी में प्रोजेक्ट निकाला और वो पानी में इंडियन ऑयल की रिफाइनरी है वहाँ मथुरा में। उनको पूछा, मैंने चेयरमैन को बुलाया कि आप पानी कहाँ से लेते? बोले यूपी सरकार से। कितने पैसे देते? 25 करोड़। बोला 20 करोड़, तो मैं 5 करोड़ आपके बचा देता हूँ। और हाइब्रिड एन्युटी यानी 40% सरकार ने दिए, 60% इन्वेस्टर ने डाले और हमने प्रोजेक्ट निकाला, त्रिवेणी इंजीनियरिंग कंपनी ने लिया। अब 5 करोड़ वहाँ पानी पूरा इंडियन ऑयल को वही देते, मथुरा की गंदगी भी निपटाई गई, वो भी साफ हो गई और प्रोजेक्ट भी इकोनॉमिकली वायबल हुआ। अब मैं नागपुर में पिछले 9 साल से टॉयलेट का पानी, जो ड्रेनेज का पानी है, वो शुद्ध करके महाराष्ट्र सरकार के MACB और के कोराड़ी खपरकड़ा प्रोजेक्ट को हम बेचते हैं और हमको 300-325 करोड़ रुपए टॉयलेट का पानी बेचकर मिलते हैं। अभी जो कचरा है सर्कुलेशन इकोनॉमी में, उसको कचरे को सेग्रीगेट करके ग्लास, मेटल, प्लास्टिक रिसाइकलिंग होता है, वैल्यू एडिशन होगा और उसके बाद जो ऑर्गेनिक CNG बनता है, वे हमारे 28 टन पर डे नागपुर म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन CNG तैयार करेगी, जिसमें स्कूटर, ट्रक, बसेस चलाएगी, इंपोर्ट बचेगा, प्रदूषण कम हो जाएगा। तो मैं आपको यही बताना चाह रहा हूँ कि टेक्नोलॉजी और विजन और उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन करना यशस्वी रूप से, ये आगे चलकर भविष्य के इम्पोर्टेंट सेक्टर है और इसलिए इस सेक्टर में अगर हमको काम करना है तो बहुत बड़ा पोटेंशियल है। मैं दुबई गया था, आपके सीए दुबई में 4-5 हज़ार इंडियन सीए, उन्होंने मुझे बुलाया था कार्यक्रम में, तब मुझे देखकर बड़ी खुशी हुई कि वो वहाँ से अमेरिका की भी प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं, वर्ल्ड की प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं। अब सीए केवल भारत तक सीमित नहीं रहे, अब मुझे लगता है कि इतना बड़ा पूरा विश्व खुल गया, तो ये अपने पूरी सीए कम्युनिटी को ये विजन देने का काम आप जैसे लोग ही कर सकते हैं। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इंडस्ट्रियल, चाहे ट्रेड, बिजनेस, एक्सपोर्ट, इंपोर्ट, एग्रीकल्चर, रूरल, ट्राइबल, पावर, आईटी, इन सब क्षेत्रों में सीए के सहयोग के बिना काम नहीं हो सकता। और इसलिए मेरा विश्वास है कि निश्चित रूप से ये करने में आपके सबका रोल बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। और आपका ये जो आपका जो नॉलेज का थीम लेकर आपने जो कार्यक्रम किया है, ये मुझे लगता है एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, ज्ञान उदय। यानी ये नॉलेज का उदय होना, यानी नॉलेज को और अच्छा चमकाना है, और वो चमकाना होगा तो पॉलिश करना होगा। पॉलिश मीन्स we need to establish cooperation, coordination, communication between the stakeholders. We need to invite different ideas, different innovation, different research or innovative project from the different people. और सबने मिलकर इसको विकसित करके एक नई मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम का निर्माण करना होगा। मैं कभी कभी मैथमेटिक्स का एक इक्वेशन बताते रहता हूँ कि ए नाम के व्यक्ति ने ए स्क्वायर काम किया और बी नाम के व्यक्ति ने बी स्क्वायर काम किया, तो टोटल वर्क इज ए स्क्वायर प्लस बी स्क्वायर। बट जब ए एंड बी कम्स टुगेदर, थिंग्स टुगेदर एंड वर्क्स टुगेदर, ए प्लस बी ब्रैकेट में स्क्वायर, इसका जवाब आता है ए स्क्वायर प्लस बी स्क्वायर प्लस ट्वाइस ए बी। और ट्वाइस ए बी ये जो है ये कलेक्टिव टीम स्पिरिट का एक परिणाम है। मैं आपसे अनुरोध करूंगा कि विशेष रूप से हमारे देश की आज आवश्यकता है, हमें बिजनेस लीडरशिप को खड़ा करना है। हमें बिजनेस को गाइड करने वाली चार्टर अकाउंटेंट की एबल लीडरशिप को खड़ा करना है, स्ट्रॉन्ग फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम को खड़ा करना है, स्ट्रॉन्ग गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज बनाना ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी है, सरकार की है। हम डेवलपमेंट ओरिएंटेड, फ्यूचरिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट और फ्यूचरिस्टिक विजन के आधार पर नीतियाँ बनाने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। अकाउंटेबिलिटी इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। मैं अक्सर एक बात दोहराते रहता हूँ कि फाइनेंशियल अकाउंट, फाइनेंशियल ऑडिट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस बहुत ही जिम्मेदार उपयोगी है, पर फाइनेंशियल ऑडिट से परफॉर्मेंस ऑडिट इज़ मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट। ये खाया पिया कुछ नहीं, गिलास फोड़ा अटेंडना, फुकट में इधर उधर घूम रहे हैं, ऐसे काम नहीं जमता जी। काम करना होगा तो ओनरशिप चाहिए, कमिटमेंट चाहिए। कमिटमेंट और ओनरशिप के सिवा काम नहीं होगा। कमिटमेंट ओनरशिप होगी तो नॉलेज एंड टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए, नॉलेज एंड टेक्नोलॉजी होगी तो विजन चाहिए, और विजन चाहिए तो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन करने की क्षमता चाहिए। और एक आखिरी में इसमें इम्पॉर्टेंट है वो है संस्कार, इथिक्स, प्रोफेशनल इथिक्स, बिजनेस इथिक्स। द बिजनेस विथ इथिक्स इज द नीड ऑफ द कंट्री। कैसा भी करो, उधर उधर करके कुछ तो भी लोचा करो, आपको पता है आजकल बहुत लोग फंस जाते हैं, बहुत बार चार्टर अकाउंटेंट को भी जेल में जाना पड़ रहा है। तो बिजनेस विथ इथिक्स इज ए पार्ट ऑफ कन्विक्शन। और इसलिए मैं आपसे अनुरोध करूंगा कि पैसा जरूर कमाओ। विवेकानंद जी ने कहा है कि नो फिलोसॉफी कैन बी टॉट टू एम्प्टी स्टमक। इसलिए पैसा कमाना गुनाह नहीं है, पर कैसा कमाना ये आपको सोचना होगा। बिजनेस विथ इथिक्स इज द नीड ऑफ द आवर। और पूरे विश्व में एक बात देखिए, व्हाट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग ऑफ द 21st सेंचुरी? रिसोर्सेस, टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं। द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट नीड ऑफ द 21st सेंचुरी इज द credibility, goodwill, honesty and transparency. Either it is politics, either it is business, either it is social work. Everywhere, the most important thing is honesty, credibility, goodwill. ये ब्रांड बनता है। कल मैं मुंबई में एक कार्यक्रम में था, तो मेरे कार्यक्रम में गोदरेज मेरे सामने थे, बैठे थे, और दूसरे अपने अजय पिरामल जी बैठे थे। तो मैंने वो लड़कों को मैं मार्गदर्शन कर रहा था, तो मैंने कहा इन्होंने टाटा ने, गोदरेज ने ब्रांड बनाया, यानी अजय पिरामल को कहा इन्होंने ब्रांड बनाया। ब्रांड किससे बनता है? ब्रांड आपके चाल चलन व्यवहार और चरित्र से बनता है। ब्रांड बाजार में मिलता नहीं है, शेयर मार्केट में वो खरीदा नहीं जा सकता। ये आपकी जीनियस आप है ही, और आपके ओरिजिनल इसमें जेनेटिक में जो आपकी क्वालिटीज है, जो आपकी गुणवत्ता है, जो आपका एटीट्यूड है, जो आपका अप्रोच है, जो आपका बिहेवियर है, दैट ऑल थिंग्स कन्वर्ट इनटू क्रेडिबिलिटी, गुडविल। और क्रेडिबिलिटी और गुडविल का संबंध प्रोफेशनल एथिक्स के साथ है। और इसलिए मैं आपको निश्चित रूप से ये प्रार्थना करूंगा कि विश्व में हमारी सीए जो है उनको आगे जाकर काम करना है, उसको ध्यान में लेते हुए आप सबके प्रोफेशन में क्वालिटेटिव रिफॉर्म करो, और क्वालिटेटिव रिफॉर्म अगर होंगे तो सक्सेस आपके पास आएगा। और मैं अड़चने आती है, समस्या आती है लाइफ में, हर जगह पर प्रॉब्लम्स और समस्या है। समस्या कहाँ नहीं है, समस्या सब जगह है। पर हमें ऐसी लीडरशिप तैयार करनी है, बिजनेस लीडरशिप, सीए लीडरशिप, कि जो they can convert problems into opportunities, not opportunities into the problems. और इसके लिए प्रबोधन, प्रशिक्षण और रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट इसकी जरूरी है। मंथन की जरूरत है, चिंतन की जरूरत है। और इसलिए मुझे खुशी है कि ये जो आपका विशेष रूप से एक प्रकार से ज्ञान उदय जो है, ये ज्ञान मंथन है, चिंतन है, comes together, thinks together, or let us think about the futuristic development, futuristic vision of the world, not of India, of the world. And whatever the best things which are available in the whole world, either in any country, we should be ready to accept that. That is the good quality. जो हमारी अच्छी है उसको तो हम स्वीकार करेंगे ही, जो कमियां होगी वो भी सुधार करेंगे, और जो अच्छाइयाँ दूसरों के पास होगी उसको स्वीकार करके हम परिपूर्णता के तरफ जाएंगे। ये कहा जाता है कि नो वन इज परफेक्ट एंड नो वन कैन क्लेम दैट इज परफेक्ट। उत्तम, अधिक उत्तम, सर्वोत्तम, अप टू इन्फिनिटी। और इसलिए ये एक कंटिन्यूअस प्रोसेस है, चलते रहना चाहिए। और चलते रहते हुए निश्चित रूप से मुझे लगता है कि परिश्रम के साथ, कटिबद्धता के साथ, ओनरशिप के साथ आपको निश्चित रूप से सफलता हासिल होती है। कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। ये जो आपकी बहुत अच्छी कविता है वो एक प्रेरणा स्तोत्र के रूप में है, जरूर याद रखिए। मैं आपके इस कॉन्फ्रेंस को, ज्ञान उदय, इसको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं, शुभेच्छाएं देता हूँ। और ये ज्ञान उदय, कन्वर्शन ऑफ नॉलेज इनटू वेल्थ फॉर द फ्यूचर, not only for the future, for the futuristic development, futuristic vision for our country, for our society, for our people. ये मिशन लेकर ये ज्ञान उदय जरूर आगे आप जाएंगे, इसके लिए मैं शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ। सांसद महोदय भी वहाँ उपस्थित है, उनको भी मेरी बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। नमस्कार।
Honorable Shri Nitin Organizing Committee and all delegates present, we extend our heartfelt gratitude for your presence, time, guidance, and inspiring words. Thank you, sir. It meaningful. With that, I invite Secretary of WIRC, CA Bishan Shah sir, to deliver vote of thanks.
किसको लागू पाए बलिहारी गुरुदेव आपकी, जो गोविंद दियो बताए। ये पवित्र भूमि पे आज जो हम सबको यहाँ पे इकट्ठा किया है, ऐसे संत श्री गजानन महाराज की जय। हम इसीलिए यही एक जगह पे एकत्रित हुए और उसी वजह से खूब खूब मेरा धन्यवाद है। मातृभूमि का सम्मान, मातृ संस्था द्वारा, मातृभाषा के हित से हम हमारी मिट्टी से जुड़े हुए ऐसे हमारे टॉर्च बेरर आज हमारे साथ है, नन अदर देन अवर वाइस प्रेसिडेंट सर सीए मंगेश पांडुरंग किनरे सर. Sir is so much humble and I request everyone to give a standing ovation and thanks to our vice president sir. Sir, you are the leaders. Without your contribution, again member of parliament Shri Anup ji sir, without your leadership we all are not full. And I just want to say thank to Mera ji. Please give big round of applause to our chairman in this 75th year of WRC, which we are celebrating together. Friends, he is so much conscious that he is counting his days, 128 days and more than 120 programs. So please give a thunder round of applause to our chairman and ably who is there to help him, our vice chairman of the WRC, CA Rikin Patel, CA Rakesh Shahji, treasurer, and of course, I am also there as the secretary. So please give some round of applause to us as well. हमारे हिंदू संस्कृति में 4 वेदों का बड़ा महत्व है और हमारे साथ आज वो 4 वेद के रूप में जो जुड़े हुए हैं हमारे सेंट्रल काउंसिल मेंबर सीए दुर्गेश काबरा जी, सीए उमेश शर्मा जी, सीए अर्पित काबरा जी एंड सीए पीयूष छाजड़ जी. प्लीज गिव बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज टू अवर सेंट्रल काउंसिल मेंबर्स. वी हैव विथ अस अवर पंच परमेश्वर जिसको बोलते हैं ऐसे रीजनल काउंसिल मेंबर्स सीए पीयूष चांडक जी, सीए अभिषेक दामने जी, सीए संजय निकम जी, सीए कमलेश शाबू जी, सीए विजेंद्र जैन जी. सर, प्लीज गिव बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज टू देम. And our mentor, how can we forget our past Central Council member, past chairman of the WRC, CA Anil Bhandari sir. Please give big round of applause to him as well. All these things happened due to the one reason, and that is what? Akola branch. We can't forget their tremendous efforts, contribution, and pain which they had taken. So please give big round of applause to CA Romil ji, the chairman, and his team. And without forgetting our MOCs who did wonderful work. You are awesome, and we need to inspire our young talent day in, day out. So please give big round of applause to them. And at last but not least, all of you to be here. So please give big round of applause to ourselves. Let's cheer ourselves. With this, we conclude this session. Jai Hind, Jai ICAI.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhishan.
Everyone to rise for
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
For the inaugural session for today.
Thank you for flying with us on this journey of learning. As we move ahead towards the first technical session, it's my pleasure to hand over proceeding to fellow MOC, CA Riya Jivatramani and CA Dimple Poptani.
We request all the delegates to kindly be seated for the first technical session.
Thank you.
Perfect tone for today's conference.
I request all to be seated for our...
It's not change of time. It's a change of thought and vision sublime.
Those who dare to learn anew are the ones who shape what's true.
For the future is never found by chance. It belongs to those who choose to advance.
Success in today's professional world does not come only from knowledge of yesterday, but the ability to adapt to the opportunities of tomorrow. Good afternoon, everyone. The inauguration marked the beginning of our conference. Now begins the true dawn of knowledge, our first technical session. It is with immense pleasure and great pride that I, CA Riya Jivatramani,
and I, CA Dimple Poptani, welcome you all to Sub-Regional Conference 2.0, Gyan Uday, a celebration of knowledge, learning, and professional excellence. Bright Gathering is sponsored by our title sponsor, Shivam Medisoft Services, cultural event sponsor, Khandelwal Silver, and our valued sponsors, Buldhana Urban Cooperative Credit Society Limited, Taxman AI, and AU Small Bank.
The journey of chartered accountancy profession has always been a journey of transformation, from maintaining books of accounts to becoming business advisors, from traditional taxation and audit practices to consulting, technology, and strategic decision making. The role of chartered accountant has continuously expanded. As Shri Nitin Gadkari ji rightly said, technology is the future of our technology is the future. Our esteemed speaker exemplifies this vision.
It is our privilege to invite our respected Regional Council member, C.A. Rikin Patel sir, to grace the dais. For that, I request C.A. Dinesh Rathi sir, immediate past chairperson of Nagpur branch, to escort our Regional Council member. Honored to have the presence of CCM C.A. Durgesh Kabra sir. We humbly request C.A. Swarupa Vazalwar ma'am, chairperson Nagpur branch, to escort CCM member C.A. Durgesh Kabra sir.
It is an honor to welcome a leader who has consistently stayed ahead of change. At a time when many see AI as threat, he believes that it will create far more opportunities that it will ever replace. I humbly request CA Pratik Mantri sir, Vice Chairperson, Akola branch, to kindly escort our speaker, CA Anil Bhandari sir, and grace the dais. By agreeing to share your valuable time, knowledge, and wisdom, we are delighted to have you all with us today.
Light has always been a symbol of knowledge and enlightenment. In the spirit of Gyanodaya, we are delighted to present a handcrafted wax candle bouquet and memento to our esteemed speaker, C.A. Anil Bhandari sir, as a token of our gratitude and appreciation. May I request C.A. Pratik Mantri sir to kindly do the honors.
As a token of our presence, I request CA Swarupa Vazalwar ma'am to kindly present a
As a token of our sincere appreciation for your continued support, guidance, and valuable contribution to profession, I request C.A. Dinesh my honor to invite our esteemed CCM, C.A. Durgesh Kabra sir, to deliver the opening remarks and set the tone for the session. Sir, we request you to kindly...
Good afternoon, one and all. Good afternoon. नाश्ता किया है ना? गजानन महाराज की इस पावन धरा पर हम में पूरा जोश होना चाहिए. अगर जोश नहीं है, वो भी चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट फ्रेटर्निटी में, तो कैसे काम चलेगा? My dear Anil Bhandari, who is my brother, I would say, past Central Council member. The other fellows on the Chartered Accountant, fellows and committee members, past chairmen of the various branches on the dais. In absentia, Vice President of the Institute, Mangesh Kinnareji, the chairman, who is impactful one, and having the dynamism also. In 110 days or so, he has been able to organize same number of programs in the western region, which are very, very important program covering the various areas of our profession. And that is why I believe that he thought fit to have a session from Anil Bhandari here, unlocking the new pathways for the chartered accountant fraternity. कुछ नया करना जरूरी है और हम चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स है ही उसके लिए। और उस नए करने में मुझे एक टीम नजर आ रही है यहाँ पर, और वो है टीम चंद्रपुर, जिसने अपने आप को अलग दिखाने की कोशिश की है। लाइकवाइज हमें कुछ और कुछ तो नया करना ही पड़ेगा, वो प्रोफेशन हो या कोई और एक्टिविटी। जब तक आप नया नहीं करोगे तब तक आपको फॉलो करने वाला कोई नहीं है। इट इज फॉर श्योर। एंड फॉर ऑल दोज न्यू थिंग आई विल नॉट बी डिस्कसिंग, बट a dynamic person is there and we had very good relationship. Anil पहली बार रीजनल काउंसिल में मेरे साथ इंटर हुआ था और मैं पहली बार सेंट्रल काउंसिल में अनिल के साथ इंटर हुआ था। हमारी सेंट्रल काउंसिल पहली बार अनिल के साथ थी। सो रिवर्स हुआ, बट हमने बहुत अच्छा साथ निभाया, अच्छा काम किया वहाँ पर, और मुझे पूरा भरोसा है कि आप लोगों को बहुत अच्छे तरीके से गाइड करेगा। आज से 2 दिन पहले हमने एक दिन मनाया था, करेक्ट? आज 3 तारीख है। 2 दिन पहले 1 जुलाई को हमने सीए डे मनाया था। 1/7 तारीख थी, 1/7। इस 1/7 के पीछे एक मैसेज हमारा सीए डे 1/7 को हो, इसके पीछे कुछ और कुछ दिमाग हमारे फोरफादर्स ने लगाया होगा, और इसीलिए हमारा जन्म 1 जुलाई को हुआ, 1/7। लेकिन हम कितने एक साथ हैं? What kind of unity we have? It is a question mark. आगे मैं चुनाव नहीं लड़ने वाला हूं, इतना पक्का है। लेकिन जब जब चुनाव लड़ने के लिए जब मैं मीटिंग्स में आया, ड्यूरिंग माय इलेक्शन मीटिंग्स, आई हैव ऑलवेज सेड अनलेस एंड अनटिल वी आर नॉट यूनाइटेड, वी आर नॉट। मेरे पास चिट्ठी पहले ही आ गई है। दूसरों के लेट आने का, आपका लेट प्रोग्राम शुरू करने का भुगतान हमें भुगतना पड़ता है। मैं अपने शब्दों में सीमित रहूँगा, कोई डाउट नहीं है, बट दिल की बात कह देना बहुत ज़रूरी होता है। हमेशा मैंने यही कहा, ऑलवेज आई टॉक दैट वी नीड टू बी यूनाइटेड लाइक डॉक्टर्स, लाइक लॉयर्स। इफ एनीथिंग हैपन्स टू any members of their fraternity, they come together and save the fellow. Whereas in case of chartered accountant, if anything is happening to a chartered accountant, we chartered accountant not united. So 1/7, 1 जुलाई इसीलिए सोच के रखा गया है। जब तक हम एक साथ नहीं होंगे, आई थिंक इस प्रोफेशन को आगे ले जाना बहुत मुश्किल काम होगा। And the moment we are united, probably every one stakeholder will salute us in time to come, and that has to be seen. Today we are competing with each other rather than competing with the other things. So stop competing with each other, join hands together. Networking and merger is the solution. एक छोटे से अकोला में अगर 100 प्रैक्टिसिंग चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट हो सकते हैं, उसको 10 कैसे किया जा सकता है? आपको 10 फर्में बनानी चाहिए, और अगर ऐसे भारत के सारे शहरों में 10-10, 20-20 फर्में हैं, तो वो 10 फर्में जो है किसी बड़ी फर्म से जुड़ी हुई होगी भारत की। और आप फिर प्रेजेंस देखिए इस नेटवर्किंग का, जो हमारे प्रधानमंत्री का सपना है कि भारतीय फर्म बड़ी हो, ऑटोमेटिकली वो फर्म बड़ी हो पाएगी। लेकिन ऐसा हम सोचते नहीं हैं, हम एक दूसरे से compete करते हैं। सो आई थिंक वी नीड टू थिंक इन दैट डायरेक्शन। एक और चीज, जब नई जो अपॉर्चुनिटीज है उसके बारे में बात करेंगे, और आज बहुत ज़्यादा चर्चा का विषय है AI, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, तो मुझे एक लाइन याद आ जाती है, ए इंटेलिजेंस हमें तुम पर बहुत नाज था। ए इंटेलिजेंस हमें तुम पर बहुत नाज था, पर अब तुम भी आर्टिफिशियल हो चली, अब तुम भी आर्टिफिशियल हो चली। कल ही आपने देखा होगा एक सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट आया, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजमेंट में एनसीएलटी ने जो जजमेंट दिया उस पर एनसीएलटी को वार्न किया, क्योंकि उस जजमेंट में ऐसे कोर्ट्स थे जो चैट जीपीटी, जेमिनाई, क्लॉड यहाँ से उठा के दिए गए थे, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का सहारा लिया गया था, और वो फेक थे। सो unless and until you use your natural intelligence, you double verify the judgment given by artificial intelligence or all the AI tools which you are using, I think you should not quote all those things. Probably tomorrow something may wrong happen to you, and it is already in discussion, and it has been said that the Supreme Court has said that Bar Council has to take a call and has to make a disciplinary system against those advocates or members of the fraternity that if they are quoting such judgments which are taken with the help of AI and which are not verified, double verified by them, then I think probably there will be a DC actions against them. In the same way, we need to think that yes, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस जो है ना, वो हमारी स्किल सेट को डेवलप करने के लिए है, हमको उसके भरोसे नहीं रहना है। प्रॉब्लम ये है कि आज जो कुछ भी होता है हम सीधा जेमिनाई खोलते हैं, चैट जीपीटी खोलते हैं, क्लाउड खोलते हैं, और दूसरे जितने भी विदुर है ये हैं उनको खोलेंगे, वहाँ पे हम हमारी इन्फॉर्मेशन डालेंगे, जैसा वो ड्राफ्ट करेगा वैसा हम सबमिट कर देंगे, विच इज़ नॉट द राइट वे। कंप्लीट इतने अच्छे अच्छे सुंदर सुंदर वाक्य हमें सुनने को मिलते हैं इवन एमओसी से, जो मैंने कभी सुने नहीं थे। लेकिन हमें आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का यूज़ हमारी स्किल सेट बिल्डिंग के लिए करना है, न कि कोई कॉपी करके उसको आगे शिफ्ट करना है। आई थिंक इन चीज़ों पे अगर हम ध्यान देंगे तो बहुत कुछ अच्छा होने वाला हमारे प्रोफेशन का। सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ जो मैंने कही है कि हमें एक साथ होना है। 1 जुलाई जो हमारा CA डे है, उसके माध्यम से हमारे फोरफादर ने हमें यही कहा है कि जब तक हम एक साथ रहेंगे हमारा प्रोफेशन आगे बढ़ेगा। जिस दिन हम अलग हो जाएंगे तो हमारा प्रोफेशन गर्त में जाएगा, और जब हम वापस एक साथ हो जाएंगे पुनः हम नई ऊंचाइयों को छुएंगे। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ धन्यवाद।
But here are few lines for you, sir. It is rightly said, the hallmark of a great professional is not merely keeping pace with change, but having the vision to lead it. Our speaker today is a perfect example of this thought. C.A. Anil Bhandari, sir, represents a rare confluence of professional excellence and technological vision. A chartered accountant, cost accountant, and certified information system auditor, sir has taken the principles of audit far beyond financial statements into the dynamic world of information systems, cybersecurity, and digital risk. As the chief mentor and thought leader at Arcon, he has been instrumental in creating innovative technology solutions like Druth, a robotics-driven governance, risk, and compliance platform that automates repetitive control, testing, and compliance monitoring, enabling professionals to focus strategic thinking rather than routine execution.
His journey beautifully demonstrates then when wisdom of chartered accountants meet with the power of technology, compliance transform into confidence, risk become opportunity, and professionals become future-ready advisors. Today, he is here to inspire us to not to become just a chartered accountant, but better architects of our future. We are excited to understand the experience and mindset behind his journey. We will now hand over the charge to our speaker, C. Anil Bhandari, sir.
A very good afternoon to all our members. I was invited at a CFO conference and I asked this weird question. How many engineers do you have or do we have within ourselves? And I got a very weird response and a very weird smile that, you're on a chartered accountants conference. And I start by asking this question, how many engineers do we have today in this room? Because, please bear with me, but I may have a perspective as we progress forward. I would one day love to see engineer chartered accountants, and there's a reason and a perspective behind that. But before we go there, congratulations are due to my friend, my chairman, and the Vice President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Shri Mangesh Kinare. Our chairman, Saurabh, and Romil, I think they have done a fantastic job. And of course, dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, my colleagues in the Central Council, and of course, my friends and colleagues in the Regional Council and the branches, and all of us chartered accountants here today. I also want to I think I take a cue from Durgeshi, and I want to ask all our friends from Chandrapur to just rise. If you would just bear with me for a minute. All of you, if you could just rise. This is what I call as branding. So if you just want to take a cue of what marketing, sales, branding is, this is the, thank you so much. Please sit down. This is fantastic. So I think we've been doing all of this. It's not that we don't do it. We do it at the council. We do it everywhere. But I think it's important that you do it at moments, you do it at times, and you create that impression. First impression is always very, very, very important. And I think this is becoming a very important subject for chartered accountants. I think we know accounting, we know auditing, we know standards. But I think what we probably don't know is how to sell. And I've been talking about this since ages now. I was the chairman of the Western India region in 14, 15. I think I was the first time that we had a conference in Shegaon, which was 2018, I was here. And I had this, for the first time, I presented a unique dialogue that I had with a robo in San Francisco when I was here. I'm not sure if anyone here remembers that. Thank you. It was a very interesting conversation that I've had with the robo at that point in time. And I was very, very elated, and I was very surprised. And I thought it was appropriate for me to demonstrate that here. And I think I saw people in awe, and I was in awe. But I think the last 2 or 3 years, if it has taught us anything, it has taught us one thing, that the world is too fast, the world is too dynamic. It is impossible to keep pace with the world any longer. I repeat, the world is too fast, it is too dynamic, and it is literally impossible for us human beings to keep pace with the world as it is today. Today, when we talk about robotics, today we talk about conversation with them, it doesn't even bring surprise in our eyes, and it also does not make us stand in awe. It kind of becomes a normal. So I think what I realized is that we are actually in a state of never normal. I repeat, we are actually in a state of never normal. There's nothing normal. It's always constantly changing. And that itself has an amazing impact on what we will do in the future. And I think the future is not 50 years. The future is not 10 years. The future is actually the next 2 years or the 3 years. And believe me, I deal with artificial intelligence now at a very deep cyber tech level, and we've understood this very, very well. I think it's already changing the world, so I don't have to impress this upon you. But it's fundamentally going to destroy. It's fundamentally going to destroy what we do today as chartered accountants. It's going to destroy a lot of things. But if you take a step back and think about ourselves, it's fundamentally going to destroy anything and everything that we do. And again, bear with me as I speak, probably we'll go through what's likely to happen and what's likely to come. But before I go there, I would also want to impress upon you the fact that I think we are in great times as a country, amazing times. And the times have changed so good for us that you should remember, somehow I think English is no longer a necessity, and sometimes even suits and ties are no longer a necessity. I'm not saying this because, I've come in this avatar. I'm saying this because I would expect a chartered accountant to have light shoulders today. I think we always have heavy shoulders. And the heavy shoulders that we have is because we have been taught to carry these shoulders, right? As if to say that ये पूरे देश का भार हमारे पे ही है, right? ये पूरा GST का भार हमारे पे है, ये पूरा टैक्स का भार हमारे पे है, ये पूरा ऑडिट का भार हमारे पे है, ये हर बैलेंस शीट जो निकलती है वो हमारे पे. Good. This is actually what we used to say 5 years back. Every balance sheet which comes out is signed by a chartered accountant. Fantastic. Every tax which is collected has chartered accountant has some role to play in this. Fantastic. Great. But I don't know why, but I have this feeling that I think it's time for us to lighten our shoulders. Again, because all of this that we talk about is likely to go through a complete change. And how is it going to change? I spoke about robos. I spoke about the fact having conversation. I was in a conference in Dubai, and again, I don't know if I would have said this before, but I had the pleasure of meeting Steve Wozniak, the founder of Apple, right? And the only question that he was asking all of us 8 years back is, what makes you believe that you are not a humanoid? And he followed through with several questions after that. Vision, technology within our body, how the blood works. He took 15, 20 minutes talking about how as human beings, we are born, what happens within us, how the blood works, how the heart works, how the kidney works. And for a moment, if you just go back and think, you might get a perspective that, wow, is this the marvel of technology? Right? Are we actually humanoids? And believe me, today when you look at it, man and machine are only getting closer to each other, such that probably in the next 2 or 3 years, we would probably not recognize the difference of who's saying what. We're not able to do it today. Forget about maybe 2 years from now. We're not able to recognize the difference of, is this written by artificial intelligence? Is this written by a human being? Is this news right? Is this news fake? We're not able to make any difference of all of this. Interestingly, wars today are fought with high intensity, but very short term, which means everything that you see around defense undergoes a complete change. Everything that you see around space undergoes a complete change. Everything that you see around banking, telecommunication, connectivity, undergone a complete change. I want to now start asking you a question as chartered accountants. And please don't mind me asking this, but it's important for us to, I think, create this fire. And I'm coming back from what I used to say earlier, there would be no audits. I used to always take a lecture on the fact that we would not have audits in the future. But let me take a step back and ask you, as chartered accountants, across the world. And this is nothing to do with you. This question goes to CPAs, this question goes to chartered accountants, question goes to any organized body in the world. What have we invented? What is it that we have invented? Anybody? As collective chartered accountants, what did we invent in the last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? I was talking about this in Delhi and some member got up and said, you know, we have invented ERP solutions. We have not invented ERP solutions. Fundamentally an accounting system. Somebody said something, somebody said something. Anybody here who could think about what did we invent as chartered accountants? What was the innovation? Maybe not invent. What was the innovation that we did in the core of our function? We have got some function which is the core of our function and some function which is not core of our function. Why? Because we are under a statute and we are Institute of Chartered Accountants under an act. So there's a core practice and there's no core, non-core practice. Anybody here could think about anything that we innovated? Or anybody has an idea about what was innovated maybe 10 or 15 or 20 years before? Please. Sorry? UPI. UPI. VDI, huh? Sorry, I'm very sorry. Okay. You did? Yes. Okay. Anything else? I'm repeating this question. I'm saying in the core fundamentals of what we do, what has been the innovation? I think, and I could be wrong and I stand corrected, that the only core fundamental innovation that I can think about is a double entry accounting system. I do not know of, and please, I'm guided by your understanding or your suggestions or any ideas that you may have. But beyond the double entry bookkeeping system, I do not know if we have kind of innovated something. It is actually time for us, before we go and talk about practice, to take a step back and figure out, is there an opportunity for us to destroy what you're doing today completely, not in India, but across the world? Fortunately for us, India is no longer a second fiddle in anything and everything that you do today. I'm happy to let you know that the CEOs of not only large companies in the US, but large cybersecurity companies in the US, huge ones, are actually Indians, right? So I'm saying it's important for us, while sitting here in this huge country with so much of population, is it possible for us to innovate something which will actually go and stick across the world, and that is the time that we will not be considered to be just a chartered accountant, but fundamentally have an ability to service and provide services across the world. Because remember, when you start early, you gain a lot. So I don't know, but it's possible that you might have triple entry accounting system coming in, right, very soon. I spoke about it 2 years back in a conference in Delhi, and people were trying to figure out what this would really mean. Simply, it would mean is there's a third leg of transaction which would go anywhere. It could go into Government of India, it could go into somewhere else, and so on and so forth. And believe me, this would become another innovation that probably, if it comes through fast, my only request and suggestion to the council would be that while we do what we do to protect what we have, 20% of the time we should spend trying to identify, like I think Gadkari ji said, that what is going to crack us, what is going to move us, what's going to take us at heights which are unprecedented in the next 10 or 15 years. That would only come from innovation. It will not come from doing 500 tax audits, 5,000 tax audits, 5,000 accounting. No, it will not come from that. That's going to be killed, for sure. And how would this triple entry accounting system work? You've all very familiar with UPI, am I right? Everybody is familiar with UPI. Amazing innovation, financial innovation. Are you familiar with something called as ONDC? open networks. Are you familiar with this concept of ONDC? If you're not, please try and do a little bit of Google. This is actually set up by Government of India as open API structure, which means anybody can enroll, anybody can get on there, anybody can do business, anybody can be enrolled, anybody can do accounting, all of that put into place. So just imagine a use case where a person goes to bank, tries to withdraw money, and end to end, his entire accounting is done, and he doesn't need to do anything, and the bank doesn't need to do anything. Is this possible? I've just gone and withdrawn money. Or if I cut out a check to you, right, everything is done. From accounting to realization to maybe where it has to go to income tax, where it has to go to GST, and anything and everything to do with all of this. Is this possible? It's 500% possible today. Why is it possible? Because the moment I try and withdraw money, I do it for a personal reason or I do it for a business reason. The moment I cut out a check, I might do it for a personal reason or a business reason. If I create this entire accounting ecosystem as flat, just flat, everything then other than debit and credit is only a visualization. Are you with me? It's only a visualization, how you want to see it. You want to see debit, you want to see credit. If you're working with SAP, do you see debit and credit? I don't see debit and credit. I see only one transaction. Entire ecosystem is already set, which means, would you even have accounting in the future? Accounting would remain, but would you need to do accounting in the future? Of course accounting would be there. Of course auditing would be there in some form. But would you need to do accounting? I don't think you would need to do accounting, because it is embedded in what you're trying to do. Absolutely embedded in what you try to do. See, please understand, anything and everything that you do gets stored in form of either a metadata. It goes and gets stored at a layer, either in a form of a metadata on the left or the right. And then somebody comes and says in India, I want to see it like an IFRS. Or you go to US, somebody says that I want to see it as a US GAAP, right? But if you pick up all the standards in the world, and please, you could do this now. Say to ChatGPT, I've got US GAAP, Indian accounting, IFRS, whatever you want to say, right? What are the 4 or 5 variables which are different? What is the difference? There will be only 4 or 5 variables. There will be nothing more than that. Cannot be more than that. You can ask ChatGPT that now. And also ask ChatGPT that if we want to innovate, how do we kill these 4 variables? And there you are. You will actually be killing accounting. You'll actually be killing standards. And you'll actually be killing audit. Why am I again and again saying killing? I'm in a chartered accountancy conference, and I don't intend or mean to kill what you're doing. But killing means innovation. Killing doesn't mean killing, right? What you stop doing means innovation. And you come with a new sutra. You come with a new style of doing what you need to do. And again, I'm saying this with a lot of experience. And I'll relate it to what we do. For example, we do a lot of work on cybersecurity. Somebody would come up and say, Israel is the best country for cybersecurity. Yes, because the government there actually supports innovation, and they actually fund you, and they actually let you do something. Somebody would say, United States of America is a great place for innovation. Why? Because you are typically funded, because your ideas are funded. People are willing to take that risk because they have seen that you grow exponentially if one idea succeeds, right? India is becoming a mature country, and you have people willing to do that. But that's not the point. The point is you have more than 1 billion people here. If you are able to do cybersecurity here, you are able to do it across the world, and it doesn't take too much time for you to do it. Because I have to deal with old technology here, I have to deal with an old camera here, and I have to deal with the latest technology here. We have to deal with all technologies here. So if you are able to do it, nobody else can replicate it, and they do not have the opportunity because they do not have so many people. And China has used only this to their advantage. Amazing advantage. Amazing advantage. They're far ahead of the curve. So if you were to do the same thing in your core attest function and transform it completely, you would be actually then creating a system and a technology to actually rule the world. Let me try and take an example of a sports. Anybody knows here a little known sport called hockey? We know hockey? Unfortunately, I used to be hockey captain for my college, and it's completely little known sport today. But at one point in time, that sport was very close to our heart, and our players were amazing. Dhyan Chand, he would go from one goal to another goal and shoot a goal, right? Why did we get killed? What happened to hockey? AstroTurf. You know, there came Europeans and they said that, boss, we need to redefine it and we need to have a better whatever, AstroTurf, etc., etc. And suddenly it became more of a team game rather than an individual game, right? Where you have strategies, etc., and we were nowhere. Absolutely finished. So this, fortunately for us, is an opportunity to leapfrog decades and decades ahead of United States of America, European region, Russia, and it is not so difficult for us to do that. Absolutely not so difficult for us to do that. So while of course towards the end maybe we could open up questions around what kind of innovations that you think is going to be possible, but I would strongly impress upon you that pillar number one, to take you 10 times, 100 times, 500 times, is not going to be accounting, auditing. It's not going to be your periphery services, but it's going to be something which is very different and that creates a stage for us. But coming back to, what we are trying to do, and maybe what 80% of the people here, of course, have to make sure that the firms run, salaries are paid, and people are hired, and so on and so forth. I think I have only 2 or 3 mantras for trying to untap or unlock our practice pathways. The first mantra is, I think we are just not there when it comes to a sales function. You know why? Because this word sales actually does not even stick to us. We actually feel bad about it. We actually think कि हम क्या बोल रहे हैं boss? ये selling क्या होता है? हम तो chartered accountant हैं, right? Chartered accountant means legally certified to offer whatever. So, the sales and marketing has simply not been taught to us, never been taught to us. We've been kept away from it. I'm not asking you to sell your attest function. I'm just not asking you to sell your attest function. I'm asking you to sell your non-attest function. And the non-attest function and practices that you could develop is every part of the business. So now let us start looking and dividing the business of what a business has. HR function, supply chain management, sourcing across the world, where it comes from, what it does. I think today you have tools and technologies to be able to help you to deliver services around all of these functions, and they are endless. Again, if you ask maybe ChatGPT quickly, it'll tell you 20 odd things very, very quickly. So again, I'm saying for a moment, just keep what you're doing aside, but probably just think through different functions in a business and try and figure out if you're able to render services, especially in locations like ours, Akola, Amravati, Jalgaon, Nagpur. This is where the next wave of India would probably come. And I'm 200% sure about it. Because if you were to become a 5 trillion, 12 trillion economy, these are the places that the next probably wave of prosperity would come, and your ability to offer leading services, which even some of us, maybe in cities, are not offering. The third advantage that you have today is you have the power of data. You have this artificial intelligence thing, which is just costing you maybe 20,000 bucks per annum, or maybe 2 lakh rupees per annum, doesn't matter, whatever it be. But it actually brings you just about closer to a Big Four. I mean, what does a Big Four have today? Nothing. I have been going and speaking and taking lectures to say that there will be no big fours in the world. There cannot be big fours in the world. Why? Because every piece of data that the big four had is available to you at a tap of a button. And you're able to do a better job. You're able to construct reports. You're able to do whatever you want to do very, very quickly. Which means, we were all trying to focus on a goal of networking, which is, sometimes I deviate a little bit, not too much, from a lot of people are saying, that, create a large firm. I am saying create a firm with just about 4 people, but be very specific in what you're doing. Be very specific in what you're doing. And if you want to validate what I'm saying, then you should go and hear Sam Altman from ChatGPT, OpenAI. They are saying, Anthropic CEO, they are saying that you would soon have one-person billion-dollar companies in the future. I repeat, what are they saying? They are saying you will just have one-person billion-dollar company in the future. Why? Just one person, doesn't matter. I will do something, generate it, be able to sell it, be able to account for it. I don't need 500 people, 1,000 people in the company. So there is no right or wrong answer, but fortunately for us, the chaos and the situation that we are sitting in offers us 10x, 20x, 100x of opportunity to think and think very differently from where we are. So I don't know if this resonates with you or not, but I have exactly followed the same path. And our firm was supposed to be and is supposed to be pretty good in technology audits, and we started with systems audit. And our firm is very good in internal audits. We started with a lot of business processes. I just went last year to all the partners and said, I want to close down internal audits and I want to close down systems audit. And I mean it. I've just told all of them that we don't want to do this. Any reason why would somebody do something like this? We are well known. We get a job on a daily basis. We get it based on credibility. We get it based on our brand. We have 820 odd people working for us. Why will I not think about doing internal audit abroad? Why will I not think about offices in the US and set up an internal audit shop? I'm saying I want to destroy internal audit. I want to destroy systems audit. Anybody, any idea? Why would I want to do this? Yeah? Human resource. Anybody, any idea? Yeah? AI will take over. Anybody? Not adding value, that was a good one. AI would probably take over all these activities. I don't know if there's a mic, maybe we'll have 10 minutes so I could actually delve on questions and answers because you're all learned chartered accountants here. You have ChatGPT, you have Anthropic, you have Claude to answer all the bright questions. I don't think I'll probably come and add value in terms of what to do. Yes? Fantastic. I think it's so interesting that chartered accountants here are realizing the fact that there may not be even a value proposition in what we're trying to offer. I mean, this is brilliant. I repeat, I was shying away from putting this across because, I would thought, मैंने Delhi में ये बोला था, so there were 4 members who got up and started shouting at us, shouting at me. कि आपको किसने बुला दिया इंस्टीट्यूट में आप कैसी बात कर सकते हैं चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स इतना वैल्यू देते हैं एंड ही टुक 20 minutes to shout at me. So I was shying away from saying that maybe we are not adding value. I don't know. It is important for us to think through that. Today, all these years we've added fantastic value because there were times there was no technology. There were times everything was manual. There were times that we had to do our grunt work. There was times that you have to follow standards because there was so many things to do and then within a standard, you're able to figure out what to do. But the today's world is very different. What value are you adding when everything is done by technology, reviewed by technology continuously, right, near real time, every transaction matters, how are you creating value? I'm not taking away the opinion that you have, still. But I'm saying, will your opinion even matter in the next 10 or 15 years? I don't think it will matter. And again, I'm not saying this. And I've taken this example before. When Nilesh Bhai was the president, I had the pleasure of accompanying him to meet the SEBI chairman. And I've said this in 1 or 2 conferences. And it was, I think, A.K. Singh, he was an IS officer well, before this lady who was the chairman of the SEBI board. And when we went and met him, he smiled at us and he said, you know, what is true and fair? I want true and correct. That was just a validation. He said, what is true and fair? Then he also went up and said that, you know what, you guys must be thinking that I'm a fool because I'm an IS officer, I'm not a chartered accountant. So he said, no, sir, you know, of course, you know, you're got so much of wisdom, so much of experience. But look at an IS officer saying this, who's saying that what is true and fair, I want a true and correct. That's an expectation of the regulator. Can you change it? You cannot change it. There'll be expectation of the investors. Can you change it? You cannot change it. He said, why? Because you have everything which is done by technology. Why do I even need you? There was a huge cry for concurrent audit of Bank of Baroda. So I, Nilesh Bhai and Praful Bhai, we went to meet the CEO of the Bank of Baroda. And we said, ki, sir, chartered accountants all across the country are shouting, case kar rahe hain, concurrent audit kar rahe hain. बोला कौन सा बैंक है वर्ल्ड में जो 800 ऑडिटर रखता है भाई? आप मेरे को एक तो नाम बता दो इंडिया को छोड़ के. कौन सा बैंक है वर्ल्ड में? मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है 800 ऑडिटर को ग्रैपल करना. मैं 4 रखूंगा. एंड यू स्टॉप मी. This is a control function. This is not a necessity. I repeat, this is a control function. This is not a necessity. So what I'm trying to say, the summary of this is that you're absolutely right, that sometimes we need to question ourselves after some time, what is the value of what I was doing yesterday? In your own work, what is the value that you bring to the table as a senior partner, right? And let me give you an example. I thought 1 year back, artificial intelligence is just artificial. It just doesn't do anything. It cannot do anything. 1 year back. And I wanted to test it. Always test something before you start believing in it. So we hired 4 engineers, 1 or 2 from IIT, 1 or 2 from good college, and I told them that I will only like it if you are able to construct a solution for me in flat 20 working days from intent to the solution. I repeat, from intent means thought to the solution. And wow, I meant of what they wanted to do in the artificial intelligence, and they did something else, something else, something else. In flat 20 days, we had something which I could not have written for another 2 years. Just imagine, agar aapko koi ek document, you know, you've been in practice for a long time, and you're senior in the practice. Somebody comes with a document. When you look at the document which is now generated by maybe before the artificial intelligence world, generated by articles or chartered accountants, you will bring out so many issues, you know. ये आपने राइट में ये नहीं डाला है, पेज नंबर लेफ्ट में नहीं डाला है, आपने कॉमा नहीं डाला है, आपने फुल स्टॉप नहीं डाला है, इसका मीनिंग तो गलत है, blah 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 blah, right? And you'll take 4 hours to just do a simple letter, or sometimes even 2 days to get it right. 2 minutes it takes today, and maybe 1 minute and maybe a few seconds. Just get the right perspective. And I was pleasantly surprised. But there was one challenge though. I didn't like a few things. I told this young team of engineers to go back and say, I didn't like this 4 things, please go and change it. Now comes the challenge. They had not written it. Artificial intelligence wrote it, so they didn't know what it was. So they took 2 months to solve the problem, right? They took 2 months to solve the problem, but they could do it in 20 days, the entire thing, but they took 2 months to solve the problem. So now the world thinks that yes, this is going to be a problem. So recently Amazon launched a standard of how you can do work using artificial intelligence, end to end. आप सोचोगे क्या, आप लिखोगे कैसे, आप उसको डिज़ाइन कैसे करोगे, आप उसको स्टोर कैसे करोगे, आपको आउटकम क्या चाहिए, दिखना कैसे चाहिए. If you put all of that, you will have technology created for you in flat 2 days' time. Working technology created for you in flat 2 days' time. Which means, if you're in a software business, I think it is time for you to get out of software business. Nadella said that there will be no softwares in the future. Right. So, look, my only intent of coming and giving you these examples was that I think, you know, we are very lucky, and at least this generation, this young generation is absolutely lucky that, you know, we've been born at this time, and, you know, you could become a chartered accountant at this time. And And our seniors have wealth of experience. AI does not give you experience, mind you. But seniors have wealth of experience. It is time for us to use this experience and this technology to be able to see if we could leapfrog and do something very, very interesting in today's world. And I think it is absolutely easy for us as a country, as anything. I don't know if you're aware, but Indian government is giving you GPUs literally for just 68,000 bucks per annum, per month. 68,000 rupees per annum. Nowhere available in the world. It's a server, it's available to you online, you go and what you want to do. You can churn millions of records, millions of records. Right? So everything is not necessarily technology. Everything is business. But I think it is important for us to embrace it. It is important for us to embed it in our daily lives. And it is important for us to think beyond imagination. So this is what I wanted to just, give some messages around. I do not have a Brahmastra to suddenly change, and I do not have magic to change your practices. But I must only tell you this in a very simple language. Time is ours. And you would have the potential to do it 100 times or 200 times over. And if you're slightly innovative, you'll have the potential to do it 5,000 or 10,000 times over. Because the world, India, unfortunately, still continues to be where it is in terms of economy, in terms of per client, per client revenue, for example. If you start offering these services across the world, you just become $1 million company overnight, very, very quickly. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to take those. Or if you have anything which you think is different from what I'm saying, you're very welcome, because I would love to kind of engage with you and understand your thoughts. This is what I do on a daily basis. I keep going back to office and saying, hey, can we kill this? Because it's not offering us value. This is not going to get me 10x. What's going to get me 10x? This is not going to get me 10x. Let's do something else, right? And 10x doesn't mean valuation. 10x means passion. 10x means the fun of what you're trying to do. So thank you once again. But I think if you have any questions, I don't know if you have a mic there on the floor or not, but yes, please. Yes.
Sir, I have two comment, observation, question together rolled out. So one is that I agree with you regarding innovation in finance, because we have seen innovation in science. That is done through physics, but in physics or science altogether, we see innovation in two ways. One is fundamental research, one is applied research. So I agree with you in terms of when we talk about double entry system, that is more of fundamental research kind of a thing in financial world. So in terms of fundamental change, we have only done double entry and to some extent accounting standards, etc. But in terms of applied research, maybe we have done certain things, and our institute also does many initiatives. What I would like to probably engage with you on is,
I have not even, I have not spoken about finance at all. I am saying the core function of a chartered accountant, because let's stick to, it's a huge topic, so I'm just trying to stick to the core function of a chartered accountant. I would really engage, and I would love for institute to engage, crores of rupees in fundamental research to try and change the core of the practice. That is what I'm trying to impress upon you. Double entry, triple entry, 4 entries, whatever it is, go back to the government and tell the government that, guys, I don't require a NAFRA, I don't require standards, I don't require NAFRA. Why do I require NAFRA? Computer is bringing it out, right? Why am I troubling my chartered accountant members? I was in the part of appellate tribunal, right? So I was hearing cases or disciplinary cases. Why do I want to trouble chartered accountants? Saying, आपने वो कोने में वो नहीं देखा, अरे भाई आप निकाल दो ना system से, right? So, but it is not as easy as I'm saying it. Everything requires a method in the madness. That method is what I would actually encourage the institute to do, and all of us to do, not only the institute. Because there's always a method. I said now when I ended that, AI, if I just write a line that I want a CRM solution, will it create a good CRM solution? Of course not. But if there is a method in what I'm trying to ask it to do, it will create a fantastic solution, and you can compete across the world. So method in the madness, fundamental research, change the core of our practice, change the core of our test function. That's what I was trying to impress upon.
The second part of my observation or thought was, I agree about the value proposition going down, because what we were really doing was we were creating trust in balance sheet. And as much as a human can create trust in balance sheet, so can machine do. And so that way, our value proposition efficiency was better in machine. That's why it is coming down and down. But like in other cases, whether it is software, whether it is anything else, some part of trust still remains with the humans. Will there not be a case where even in finances, balance sheet and otherwise, some part of trust, thereby some part of audit and attest will remain with humans?
Absolutely. I didn't say that we are going to go away with audit. What I'm saying is, in fact, I wanted to also say that there probably may not be chartered accountants. Doesn't mean that the function chartered accountant would not be there. See, everything in the world is changing. Everything in the world is merging. The functions in the world are merging. So you don't change, but you change the way what you do, and then probably there's a different nomenclature for what we are trying to do. So I'm sorry, but I didn't mean to say that we did not add value or our value has come down. The value continues to be where it is. It is just that because there's so much happened on this side of the world, technology, accounting, control, that the samples that we were trying to see, human beings were doing accounting before. It is but natural that maybe we'll slip transactions, etc. Human beings are not doing accounting, which means 95% of the transactions go through. So if you want to change the gear, then I'm saying you can become a better AI auditor, you can become a better technology auditors, you can become a better algorithm auditors, you can become a better quantum auditors, because auditing is required. Auditing is a function. It's a core function of 2I principle or a 3I principle. Why does audit require? Because somebody is doing something, I want to review whether what you've done is right or wrong. And that's a review mechanism. And it's a control function. आप कुछ करते हो बच्चे के साथ, your wife would do something, your mother would say something. These are control functions. And these are social signs. So I think we will change as auditors is what I was trying to tell you.
Thank you.
But are we geared up to audit artificial intelligence? It has just come. It is already there. Are we geared up to do that? Are we geared up to look at algorithms? And that is why I started where I started. I would love to see more engineers and chartered accountants. You have a lot of engineers and MBAs. I love chartered accountancy. You know why? Not because I'm a chartered accountant, I was a central council member. But chartered accountancy is the only course which actually makes you rugged and you understand the business completely. Today, for example, if I'm able to understand cybersecurity, it is not because of code and technology. I'm able to understand cybersecurity because I know what it is going to break and what impact it is likely to bring to organizations. People want to understand business. Nobody wants to understand technology in the world when you're sitting in the boardroom. So chartered accountants are apt for all of those. But, if you do not supplement it, either by investment or by adding that skill to yourself, or by doing that skill and then becoming a chartered accountant, you'll probably be left out in the world, is what I'm trying to say. I was the only one there is a 18-country association which is called, I forgot the name of that. So I was the vice chair of that association. We have a seat in IFAC. So they called an advisory board meeting and they asked for suggestions. How should we change the accounting profession? So I said, please induct 2 engineers as advisory board members. We have to understand somebody's perspective, right? I have to understand government perspective. I have to understand engineering perspective. I have to understand AI engineers' perspective. If I don't have their perspective, but I just want to believe what is right with me, we have a serious problem. We have a very serious problem. That's what I was trying to impress upon you. So, I would love for young, and there are lots of, I have met a couple of them in Aurangabad who've done their engineering and then they did their chartered accountants. Amazing combination. Amazing combination. So, I'm just trying to say, add to the skill. Yes. If you could use the mic, yeah.
Yeah, so our institute is already taking steps in training us in AI. We have that level 1, level 2. I completely agree with that. We need to introspect on how to go ahead. But can you just maybe give a bird's eye view as to what steps we should be taking to really think into this? Because there are n number of AIs that we are using, ChatGPT, LLMs, or maybe others as well, right? So what would be a right approach to really, which
See,
kind
the right
of
approach
technology?
to learning anything in the world. So, for example, I'm a chartered accountant, but I could debate with engineers for hours, cryptography and cybersecurity. And I can go and talk at any level at kernel, or I can do anything that I want to do in terms of technology. Now, I'm not an engineer by education, but I've become engineer by practice. Sometimes what you become by practice is actually better, than even the education forum. The only thing that you need to know is why, what, when of anything that you're trying to do. So if I were to understand artificial intelligence, there are two ways to deal with artificial intelligence. One is how to use it so that you could use it in your daily life. You want to write a project report. Earlier, if you would see a project report coming from Akola, you would say, yaar, isme, the jazz is not there, the structure is not there. And then if you would see somebody writing a project report in Mumbai, maybe the jazz was there, the structure was there, the method was there. Today, just doesn't matter. The person writing a report, who is actually better in numbers, in Akola or Amravati or wherever, is able to create a nice project report, right? So that is use of AI. How do you use it very well? But if you want to audit an AI, is that enough for you? That is not enough for you. So you have to actually go back into fundamentals of artificial intelligence. How was it created? Who tagged the data? What does a learning mean? Today, you will hear that artificial intelligence को हमको learn कराना चाहिए. क्या कराना चाहिए? Learn कराना चाहिए. और वो बहुत डेटा कंज्यूम कर देता है. वैसा नहीं होता है. वो कोई डेटा कंज्यूम नहीं करता है. 70 billion records का learned artificial intelligence LLM model does not need to learn too much now. It is already learned. It's already sharp. It only learns your inference, the way you are, what you do, when you do it, what is your style. That is what it learns. So if I were to tell you all how to use artificial intelligence, all of us have a particular skill. I write a letter in a particular way. I am an income tax consultant. I probably give an advice in a particular way. If you keep writing those in artificial intelligence, it will understand your context and the way you do it, and it will respond back to you in that order. So how to use it? You need to understand how to hit it and how to use it so that you are different. Otherwise, you would be the same and I would be the same. How to audit is something that you really need to go and understand the fundamentals. There is opportunity in both. But if you're willing to take the risk, how to audit has 100x value. All right, any last question? I think we're coming closer to our lunch time, and I think I've held you back in the morning with too much of change. Anybody? Yeah, I think there's anybody has any question? Okay, fantastic. So I think I must again thank you for very patiently listening to me. I know that it was probably not an expected morning. Maybe a GST would have been a better subject so that it could have solved the problem for you now. But I'm not here to solve the problem for today. I'm just hoping that maybe we throw some light and help each other solve the problem for the next 5 years that is likely to come. I believe in chartered accountancy solid. I think we are very great guns there. We think very well. We are very entrepreneurial. If you look at everybody does practice, they are very entrepreneurial. These are qualities that nobody can take from us. And I only wish that we make it 10x, 100x, but always keep an eye for value. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Definitely given all of us a new perspective. Your thoughts will surely ensure members to look beyond traditional boundaries and embrace the next generation of professional opportunities. We sincerely thank you for sharing your valuable time, experience, and wisdom with all of us.
Just plain silver. So we request all our delegates to stay till the end of the session, as one lucky winner will walk away with beautiful silver coin.
The other hosting branches, that is Nagpur, Pune, Amravati, Jalgaon and Ahilyanagar, for hosting this very wonderful sub-regional conference and giving us this divine experience. I think also I would like to thank Anil Bhandari sir for such an excellent session. I think, sir, you have taught us that the world is running at a different pace and we don't need to cope up with that pace, but we need to think beyond our imagination. Thank you so much, sir. We would also like to thank Durgesh Kabra, sir. And, sir, your advice, I think, सब साथ रहेंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा. I think everyone would need to keep that advice in mind. Thanks to all the other dignitaries who are on the days. Thanks to the MOC for such a wonderful MOC in this session. And last but not the least, to all the dignitaries here for the patient listening and being here with us. Thank you so much.
Event is built on careful planning, flawless coordination, and countless effort behind the scenes. The Hall and Days Committee has worked tirelessly to ensure that every session is conducted smoothly and every guest is welcomed with warmth and professionalism. It is now our privilege to acknowledge their dedication and sincere efforts. I request CA Pankaj Agrawal sir, CA Shivam Lalwani, CA Vipin Chawla, CA Suraj Jethani, CA Tejas Chandak, CA Mayur Jain, CA Aditya Mohata to join us on the stage. May I request Rikin Patel sir to kindly felicitate the members of the Hall and Dais Committee with token of appreciation.
Behind every seamless session is a team that today we would like to acknowledge and appreciate the dedicated efforts of our Sound and PPT committee, whose commitment and coordination have played a vital role in smooth conduct of this conference. May I request to felicitate the member of Sound and PPT committee with a token of appreciation. I kindly request CA Sagar Rathi, CA Ankit Mehta, CA Karan Dhabalia, CA Amar Mundra, Mr. Neerav Mararka to join us on the stage.
आज ये खूबसूरत सिल्वर कॉइन किसके नाम होता है? I request Dimple to please pick one of the coupon. So, may I request CA Nyaneshwar Hinge to please come on the stage and pick his silver coin. What is his name?
Congratulations, sir, for receiving a silver coin. For those who couldn't win this time, don't
To propose vote of thanks. On behalf of organizing committee, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to CA Anil Bhandari sir for sharing his valuable insights and inspiring us to embrace the evolving opportunities in the profession. I now request everyone to please proceed for lunch.
Thank you.
broaden our perspective and strengthen our professional excellence. And our next session does exactly that.
Before we proceed, we would like to acknowledge the generous support of our title sponsor, Shivam Medisoft Services, our cultural event sponsor, Khandelwal Silvers, and our co-sponsor, the Akola Urban Cooperative Bank Limited, Maharashtra Gramin Bank, and Computax. We sincerely thank them for their invaluable support in making Gyan Uday a grand success.
Today is not merely about acquiring knowledge, but about inspiring meaningful transformations. With minds prepared and hearts in tune, it's time to embark for the second technical session of the day.
Ma'am, why do you think today's session is called Decoding of Income Tax Act and not simply Understanding Income Tax Act?
That's because reading the law tells us what has changed, but decoding it helps us to understand that every amendment has an intent, an interpretation, and how they impact our professional practices.
Exactly. As professionals, knowing what has changed is important, but understanding how those changes affect our practice is what truly matters.
And that's precisely what today's session promises, to simplify complex provisions and translate them into practical insights.
To guide us through this journey, we are privileged to have with us CA Jigar Mehta sir, an eminent speaker and expert in direct taxation. May I request CA Dheeraj Chandak sir, immediate past chairman of Akola branch, to kindly escort our esteemed speaker to the dais with a big round of applause.
We can expect a big round of applause post-lunch at least. A respected member of the profession, known for his humility, wisdom, and dedicated service to ICAI, it's an honor to invite Treasurer WIRC, CA Rakesh Shah sir, to grace the dais. May I request CA Deepak Jetwani, Vice Chairman, Nagpur branch, to escort sir to the dais.
The guiding lights of ICAI, leading with vision and integrity, inspiring every CA through his commitment. It's now my honor to invite Central Council member CA Piyush Chajed sir to kindly grace the dais. May I request CA Sandeep Surana sir, Vice Chairperson, Amravati branch, to escort him. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a big round of applause.
Flowers express what words often cannot, and a memento preserves memories that remain long after the occasion has passed. As a mark of our respect and appreciation, we now request our dignitaries to kindly present a floral bouquet and memento to our esteemed guests. I request CA Sandeep Surana, Vice Chairman Amravati, to present a token of appreciation to CCM Sir, CA Piyush Chajed.
As a token of our gratitude and appreciation, we request CA Deepak Jetwani sir, Vice Chairman Nagpur branch, to present a memento and a bouquet to our CM CA Rakesh Shah sir. Further, I could request CA Dheeraj Chandak sir to welcome our esteemed speaker, CA Jigar Mehta sir.
To invite Central Council member CA Piyush Chajed sir to grace the dais and address the gathering with his opening remarks. Let's welcome him with a gracious round of applause, everyone.
Thank you very much. Jigar Mehta, the speaker, Rakesh Shah, the regional council member, Deepak ji from Nagpur branch, and of course Dheeraj Chandak from Akola himself, Amravati, Sandeep ji Surana, esteemed members of all the branches, managing committee members. It's my pleasure to be amongst you this afternoon, especially giving an overview on a subject which is very dear to me, being a chairman of Direct Tax Committee for 2 years. And when I talk about Income Tax Act, I'm just reminded of 28th Feb when I was in Akola at that moment of time. And in fact, this same topic I was speaking in Akola. So I thought I will be here, but as of course, giving an overview on this remarks, I don't want to delve into what the speaker would be saying on the topical aspects, but I would like to give you a certain background as an overview why Income Tax Act 2025 came in, what it was, how it actually, and I feel it's very important for the practitioners कि इसकी history जानना बहुत ज़रूरी है. So as a, and the change, why Income Tax Act 2025, when you actually go through, the first question will come to your mind is कि Income Tax Act 2025 ज़रूरी क्यों था? Was it actually required? Because most of the provisions, there are no major policy changes. Most of the provisions remain same, except few which of course he would be dealing with it. But why it was done? Now all this started, one may recollect the budget speech of Honorable Finance Minister on 23rd July 2024. And why I'm telling you, I just want to give you a background that how Institute of Chartered Accountants was associated. Vice President in his speech did mention to a certain extent, but I would like to tell you again. On 23rd July 2024, the Honorable Finance Minister ने announced किया कि I want to do a comprehensive review of Income Tax Act with the three important objectives. The objectives were simplifying the language, making it more concise, मतलब छोटा बनाना है एक्ट को. तीसरा, bringing in the provisions जिससे litigations कम होगा. So ये तीन objectives के साथ she announced it. As soon as it was announced on 23rd July 2024, a first stakeholder meeting was called on 18 September 2024 by the then Revenue Secretary or to the Finance Ministry, Sanjay Malhotra. By the then, now currently he is the RBI Governor. That time he was a Revenue Secretary. He called a meeting of stakeholder. Institute was invited as a stakeholder, as a Chairman Direct Tax Committee. I was part of it. The discussion happened that Madam has announced, now what to be done. क्या करना चाहिए? नया एक्ट लाए कि इसी एक्ट को कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव रिव्यू करे. तो जनरली ऐसा माना गया, इनफैक्ट इंस्टीट्यूट ने भी प्रेजेंट किया कि देयर आर 113 ऑब्सोलीट सेक्शंस इन द इनकम टैक्स एक्ट. अगर आप पढ़ोगे उस एक्ट को, व्हेन यू रीच टू द लास्ट सब सेक्शन, यू रियलाइज दैट दैट सेक्शन इज नो मोर एप्लीकेबल फॉर दी दोज असेसमेंट ईयर्स. तो ऐसा माना गया कि इस अगर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट को मुझे अगर रीड्रॉ करना है तो आई विल हैव टू कम विद द न्यू एक्ट, अदरवाइज द क्रोनोलॉजी ऑफ द सेक्शंस विल ब्रेक. अगर मुझे रीअरेंज करना है, उस टाइम पे 298 सेक्शंस थे, practically it went up to 800 and more, because जैसे 115 में अभी 115A, AB, BBC ऐसे सब clauses बहुत थे, तो बहुत सारे sections थे. तो ये माना गया उस दिन, and everybody stakeholders view was that कि एक ही solution है, आप इस new act को लीजिए, जैसे हम नए बॉटल में डालते हैं उसको बॉटल में डालिए, rearrange करिए और नए section numbers दे दिए. So that was a background. It was decided on 18 September 2024 that what we will do is we will not do any policy changes. We'll put this old act into the new act, renumber it in a chronological order and put it before. Any policy changes we'll do through a budget, annual finance act. So that background. After 18 September, on 1st October 2024 itself, the CBDT started public outreach. आपको अगर ध्यान में हो तो they invited suggestions from each and every citizen through their website. Even institute parallelly invited suggestions from its members. We got members' suggestions. More than 200 plus suggestions were given by us to the CBDT, which were accepted in 100 plus number. And on 13th Feb 2025, ultimately bill was introduced after accepting suggestions. जब 13 Feb 2025 को bill introduce हुआ, तो इमीडिएटली इट वाज रिफर्ड टू अ सिलेक्ट कमिटी ऑफ लोकसभा, जो 31 MP मेंबर्स की एक लोकसभा मीटिंग थी. 6 मार्च को हमको बुलाया गया, और 6 मार्च को जब हमको बुलाया गया उसमें 2 इंपॉर्टेंट इशू थे, क्वेश्चंस थे. वी वर टोल्ड you will be given 2 hours, 15 minutes you present, 1 hour 45 minutes MPs will raise question, and we want the views of institute. Fortunately, again, I continued to be a chairman of direct tax. I was part of that meeting. We made a presentation, and the major questions arose on the 2 aspects over there. First, नया act क्यों चाहिए? Why it is required as a new act, income tax act at all, when there is no policy changes. Obviously, institute was supporting at that moment of time income tax act, and we said that it's an honest effort to simplify the law. एक कोशिश की जा रही है कि लॉ को सिंप्लीफाई करे, इसको छोटा करे, ये honest effort है, but time will tell कि ये सिंप्लीफाई होगा कि नहीं. That was our view. Secondly, the initial questions were around, आपको पता होगा काफ़ी डिस्कशन हुआ था उस टाइम पे एक डेफिनेशन के ऊपर 288 का, कि अकाउंटेंट के डेफिनेशन को एनलार्ज करिए और मोनोपोली को खत्म करिए. ये क्वेश्चंस आए थे एमपी से एंड वी वर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर दैट. अल्टीमेटली सब वी मेड अ प्रेजेंटेशन एंड आई वुड टेल यू because VP had actually touched it, that whether government listened to me and my experience of 3 years with CBDT is, अगर कोई भी select committee की report पढ़ना आप 2 pages, when the question arose that accountant definition को change करके enlarge करिए, other professional institutes should be allowed to do an audit. First the question was raised before Ministry of Corporate Affairs. We gave our response. Matter went to Ministry of Corporate Affairs, जिनके अंदर तीनों professional institute आती है. एमसीए को जब क्वेश्चन गया तो एमसीए ने ये कहा कि ये मैटर मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस का है, जो इनकम टैक्स एक्ट को एडमिनिस्टर करता है, ये हमारा मैटर नहीं है. एसओ वी डिफर दिस मैटर टू मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस. मैटर वेंट टू मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस एंड व्हाई आई एम सेइंग दिस because we may have certain apprehensions about CBDT and I want to make it clear. Matter went to the CBDT, to the Ministry of Finance, and it is written in that select committee. उनका response था कि on 2 counts the audit can only be done by chartered accountants. Number 1, legally only Chartered Accountants Act 1949 permits anybody to do financial audit. तीनों separate act बने हैं for different domains. One is secretarial audit, cost audit, and one is financial audit. Second, a very most important, they said that over a period of time, it has seen that only person who is competent to do the financial accounting, who is competent to do an audit is a chartered accountant. And that has gone in my mind. And I always appreciate whatever may be the problems with the tax assessees as far. But when push came to the shove, the CBDT, the Ministry of Finance supported and accepted that the chartered accountants are competent to do the financial audit. And I always tell my members that the trust which CBDT places on us is immense to that extent, and therefore audit continues. Keeping that aside, Income Tax Act saw its day of light on 21st August 2025 when the President gave its assent to that particular bill, and it's a law from 1st April 2026. I believe, you know Jigar very well, this is the first law which has been amended before being implemented. The law was passed on 21st August 2025, getting it implemented from 1st April 2026 tax year, but got amended by the budget, that is Finance Act 2026, which was passed on 31st March 2026. So it is a changed law, a changed version of the law, but now the 2 important things which a professional will have to look is whether this law will become successful, whether the benefits or the objectives which were envisaged over a period of time for which it was introduced, will it be successful? And the question lies in the, answer lies in the history. Just for the next 2 minutes, whenever some new law comes, and I always see, even today, if you want to find an answer to a particular question, you go into the history of it. 1922 का Income Tax Act था, उसको replace किया 1961 से. जब 1961 का एक्ट रिप्लेस किया जा रहा था, तभी भी फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने यही अनाउंस किया था कि हमारे 3 ऑब्जेक्टिव्स है कि मैं इसको सिंप्लीफाई करना चाहता हूँ, ये बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हो चुका है, ये बहुत लेंदी हो चुका है और बहुत लिटिगेशंस है. उस एक्ट में उस टाइम पे 200 प्रोविजोस हुआ करते थे. So 1920 to 1961 Act, there were 200 provisos. So they thought that proviso is very difficult to decipher. Let us convert into sections. By doing that, जब 1961 को promulgate किया गया, 200 provisos को 90 provisos पे reduce कर दिया गया in 1961. Now this 90 over a period of time, during this 65 years, has become 90 provisos were converted into 1200 provisos. Now today in the Income Tax Act, there is no provisos. Everything has been merged into subclauses, subsections, but time will tell whether these provisos would be reintroduced. Generally, we live in a world where we do not accept what it is. अगर हमारे इंडिया की आप देखोगे सिचुएशन, तो जहाँ पे भी यहाँ पे प्रोविजन आता है और सिस्टम कैलकुलेट करते हैं तो आप एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते. 87A जब सिस्टम कैलकुलेट करके डिसअलाउ कर रहा था तो हमारी fraternity, the lawyers fraternity did not accept it that. We tried to challenge it. And that is a situation where the law keeps on evolving over a period of time, because the citizens of this country keeps on challenging any provision if we are not satisfied with it. So the time will tell if the intended objective is not fulfilled by Income Tax Act 2025, it will be definitely get again converted, the amendments may come, provisos may be added, clarificatory explanations may be added, just to ensure that the objectives and the original intent of the Income Tax Act 2025 is achieved. So time will tell, but I believe it's an honest effort made by the CBDT. It's a very important space, and obviously the change, one may feel कि अभी ये section कौन याद रखेगा, and always I tell my members, yes, it's difficult. It's difficult to remember that I was doing an audit under section 44AB. Now you would be selecting section 63 or maybe section 58(4) instead of 44 AD subclauses. So it's difficult. लेकिन अपने आप को दिल को solace देता हूँ. Just imagine a student who has cleared his inter examination under Income Tax Act 1961, by-hearting all the sections. He would be now by-hearting all the or memorizing all the sections of Income Tax Act 2025 for the May 27 exams. और ये मेरे सोलेस देने को है, जब वो कर सकता है तो मेरे पास तो बुक पड़ी है, मैं देख के कर ही लूँगा. So I go by that. The change remains important. I'm sure this will try to simplify it. If I just given one example, 300 plus forms have been reduced to 195 forms odd. Am I right, Jigar? 195 forms reduce हो गए. और सबसे बढ़िया चीज थी Form 26, which is a tax audit form, merger of 3CA, 3CB, 3CD to a one form. And the tax audit report में जो observations column है, that is brought in line with our SA 700. Institute का एक recommendation था कि audit report format को आप SA 700 के parity में लेके आओ. Of course, they have not accepted everything as of today, but they have actually moved towards it. Last, before I give the mic to Jigar Mehta, one important thing I can tell, of course, a lot of seniors are over there, and we were referring to members also, that we send a lot of queries to CBDT. They do not accept it, probably, or they are not taking an action. I have a different view on that, I'll tell you. My experience in last 2 years, we are making weekly representations. It does happen whenever you represent to the tax authority, they may not accept you on day 1. पहले दिन पे आपको नहीं मानेंगे. Day 2 पे accept नहीं करेंगे. But day 3 पे accept करेंगे definitely. I can give you 2 examples immediately in a short time. Section 68 की tax rate जो 60% थी वो 30% पे लाई गई. बराबर है? Am I right? This was a actually suggestion of the institute made in 2023. On the table, when the presentation was made to a CBDT chairman, he immediately agreed कि ये 30% होना चाहिए. 60% was done only to tackle the problems of demonetization. उस time पे उसको 30 से 60% किया था. But they said we'll take little time. They could not do it in 24. We kept on representing. 25 में नहीं किया, but ultimately now it has been done. So they will do it. Second important thing, ICDS को scrap करना चाहिए. मेरे accounting standards issued by the institute or an India should be accepted for the purpose of taxable profit. This suggestion we are trying since 2 years. Ultimately, in the speech of the Finance Act 2026, Honorable Finance Minister has committed that I will form a committee between a Ministry of Corporate Affairs and a CBDT to see how these 2 accounting standards, one issued by the institute and another issued by ICDS, that is CBDT, can be merged and a single set of standards can come. That committee has been formed. Institute is part of that particular committee. So I thought with this background, obviously, Jigar would be taking up all the issues involved as far as Income Tax Act 2025. But one thing is definitely, which I would like to put, is change is inevitable. You have heard all these speakers before, how any profession changes. Why change? I'll just tell you, if you take an example, change is so fast moving even at the institute space. On the 1st April 2026, I was flying from Delhi to Nagpur. I was a chairman direct tax committee. And as soon as I took a flight from Delhi, coming to a Nagpur for a program, there are members from a Nagpur, we wanted to sign an agreement with NADT, National Academy of Direct Taxes, to provide faculty support and to do a program to train IRS officers. And as soon as I landed in Nagpur, I got a mail from a president of the institute that, Piyush, you are no more a chairman of Direct Tax Committee. Now you are a chairman of a corporate laws committee. So the change happened so soon. And why corporate laws? Please expect a lot of changes which are expected in the corporate laws amendment bill हो सकता है ऑडिट के लिए एक लिमिट प्रिस्क्राइब की जाए एज पर द प्रपोज बिल. And we have already made a presentation which VP already mentioned is in the opening remarks on 12th of June before Joint Parliamentary Committee that audit, there cannot be a limit for, as far as company is concerned, for exempting powers being given to NFRA, which is far higher than what it contains today. But Institute is trying its best to see to it that the Corporate Law Amendment Bill in the shape, the proposed bill, the amendments which are proposed should not go through. So only point what I tried to make, please be abreast of the changes which are happening. Try to take over that, try to evolve over that, and see that the practice is superb. I come from a direct tax practitioner. Myself, I am a litigation since 25 years. And when I see the situation of Income Tax Act 2025, or Jigar will agree, who is a speaker today, he's a young guy, I'm sure. He has a 50 years in this profession. मुझे ऐसा लगता है, I don't know what people feel over here. Direct tax practice is going to go from here still double. It cannot stop from here. And I'll give you a small example before I part with it. As of today, there are around 7 to 8 crores SSC. And the practicing chartered accountants who had generated UDIN last year were 1 lakh only. 1,50,000 जो practicing CAs है, 1 लाख ने ही UDIN generate की थी जिन्होंने शायद कोई ना कोई एक certificate issue किया था under tax audit. Only 1 lakh. अगर if I have to believe today that my economy grows from here to 10 times, as been claimed by the various government bodies, I am sure you may agree that the requirement for the practicing CA has to go to more, if it not 10 times, maybe 2 times. But do you think practicing chartered accountants will come at this particular speed? Do you think? No way. प्रैक्टिस में इतना ये 1 लाख के 2 लाख भी होना बहुत मुश्किल है, बट आई एम श्योर दिस 7 crores SSC will soon be 15 crores SSC if economy moves in this area. And therefore I always solace myself that tax practice, audit practice is going to remain for next 25 years at least. It cannot be harmed. The way of doing it can change because of the technology evolution, but it will not. So thank you very much once again. Thank you for me.
And the transformational changes shaping India's direct tax landscape. It has provided us the perfect perspective to commence this conference.
Complexity of direct tax, expert and practical experience make all difference. It's our privilege to introduce Sir Jigar Mehta, a distinguished chartered accountant, advocate, and an accomplished expert in direct tax litigation and FEMA, with over a decade of professional experience.
Sir is an exceptional one in ICAI tax management course, an All India rank 2 in diploma in international taxation conducted by ICAI. He currently serves as a member of International Tax and FEMA Committee of WIRC of ICAI and is a sought-after speaker on taxation and FEMA. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm welcome to CA Jigar Mehta, sir.
Okay, so I was just checking whether the lunch has synced in. It's good afternoon, dear friends. So, distinguished dignitaries on the dais, of the dais, it's a pleasant experience, standing here and deliberating in the Gyan Uday on the provisions of Income Tax Act 2025. C.A. Romil made a Michhami Dukram this morning. I would also want to give a Michhami Dukram because I have had the same lunch which you all had, and it's completely possible that I may give a yawn, I may have some hiccups, etc. But all of these, having said and done, I thank Piyush Bhai who has given a wonderful overview of what the provisions were. We as practitioners, we as litigants, get to know only what the law is. But Piyush Bhai has given a backside of the story as to what has gone into the preparation of this act. And when we discuss this particular act, half part of my work has already done by Piyush Bhai. And as he said, the purpose is definitely to make it simple. Is it made simple or not is something that we need to examine. So we had an Income Tax Act wherein you had provisos to provisos. So you had certain provisos wherein the provisos were there was a single subsection having 12 provisos. And so therefore the question arose that whether there is a need of a new act. The answer definitely, as Piyush Bhai said, is a yes, that the act was required. But more important is the way and the manner in which the act has come into force, whether the law as it stands today, and more important, that whether the intention that there is no substantial change in the provisions of Income Tax Act 2020-25 as compared to Income Tax 1961. Is that correct? Is the purpose of this present session. So I have bifurcated my sessions. I'll just take you through. So I have bifurcated my sessions into 5 parts. The first is legislative intent and structural changes, which is largely covered by our respected CCM Piyush Bhai, so I will not spend much time there. The second aspect is realignment of provisions. So there are certain provisions which stay as they are, but the way you used to interpret them in the old law has changed substantially. So for example, charitable trusts. For charitable trust, you had section 10, 11, 12, 13, 115 certain section, all of those. Now, so how do you navigate the act? Because for a tax practitioner, more important it is not to know the law, but how to read the law, how to navigate through the law. So first, in the second part of the session, we'll cover what are the significant structural changes which have been brought in the law. So that's the second part of it. The third is certain intended as well as unintended provisions of law wherein there is interpretational issue and wherein it is possibility that an interpretation that was taken in 61 would no longer survive in 2025 Act. We'll also cover other procedural changes, and time permitting, we'll cover what happens, because we are in a period of transition. So which law to be applied for what purposes. So we'll cover all of that. So I think with this we move to legislative intent. This is already covered by Piyush Bhai. As he stated, there were 3 purposes, but if you refer the report, it says 5. Simplify statutory language, improve structural clarity. So as I said, trust ka sub provisions come in one particular this thing. TDS, there were earlier 25-30 sections. Under the new law, there is only 1 section dealing with TDS. So that is what is meant by structural clarity. Then reduce interpretational related disputes. This is something that is really a question that we need to address today. Align drafting style with modern legislative standards. And last is enhance voluntary compliance. So when I say enhance voluntary compliance, so if you see the government has been trying updated return. Earlier you had only 2 years that can be updated. Now it is 4 years. So all of that has always been the endeavor. This is just a brief snapshot of what has happened. 819 sections gets shrink to 536 sections. Schedules have increased because it is easier to amend them. Then you have 511 rules going down to 333, and as Piyush Bhai mentioned, 400 odd forms going down to 190, which is almost half. Okay, so these are the most important changes that you have. Definitely previous year and assessment year getting replaced by tax year. So this was always a confusion internationally as to what is meant by previous year. When you ask the client to give you a form 10F, a no PE declaration, etc., always was the question, what is meant by previous year? So keeping in line with international standards, what has been done is they have replaced it with tax year. So what was earlier previous year now becomes a tax year. So therefore, previous year, as you see 24-25 is now tax year 24-25. You cannot have a tax year 24-25 because tax year will start only from 1st April, but this is just an example that I am trying to portray. There are 2 other important changes, which is the largest bread and butter for the advocate community, is the replacement of the words notwithstanding with respect to irrespective. So what is going to change with these words is a question that we'll address today in some time. But if you see earlier, you had a lot of sections which would say notwithstanding anything contrary to the act, notwithstanding anything contrary to any law, etc. Now you won't find this word notwithstanding anywhere in the Income Tax Act 2025. It has been replaced by the word irrespective of, and maybe in the next slide we'll cover what is meant by that. Explanations and provisos. Again, Piyush Bhai touched upon this. Provisos have been omitted, explanations have been omitted. And all of these have been converted to subsections. Again, we'll deliberate on this. one good feature of the Income Tax Act is that it uses a lot of tables, it uses a lot of formulas. So for us accountants, it's always easier and simpler to see a table or a formula as opposed to reading a law. So if you compare it with an advocate would prefer a language as opposed to us accountants who would want to refer tables and formulas. Last is commonly defined terms. So if you earlier what happened is certain terms were defined in some sections and they were referred in multiple sections. For example, the best definition is accountant. So accountant was defined in section 288, but 44AB had a reference of accountant. So 115JB had a reference of accountant. So multiple places there was a reference of accountant, and whenever there was a reference of accountant, there would be an explanation which would state accountant means as defined in 288. So all of that, what has been done is it has been brought to section 2, where one word has been used for multiple purposes. It has been brought to section 2, and therefore section 2 becomes like a dictionary for referring what the terms are. With this, we move on to the important aspect of what is the difference that it creates when notwithstanding gets replaced by irrespective of. So this is notwithstanding, ideally it has been laid down by a lot of courts that notwithstanding means that if there is a conflict between two provisions. So one provision says that you go to left, the other provision says, the next provision states that you go to the right. In case of this conflict, if the notwithstanding section says that you go to the right, you have to go to the right. So only and only if you have two ways would you refer a notwithstanding clause, and only to the extent of the conflict, not beyond that. So that is what is meant by notwithstanding, and that is held universally by Supreme Court in various decisions. I have cited them. For want of time, I will not name them, but you can take a note of them. Now what happens if it gets replaced by irrespective? Now if you refer the literal meaning of irrespective, the term irrespective means without regards to. So therefore, if one section says go to the left and the other section says go to the right, or it does not even say go to the right, it says go to the left in a particular manner. When it is irrespective of, you can't see the first section, you only have to see the second section, because it says without, so it is without giving regard to the first section that you have to interpret the second section. So this is not what was there in the earlier provisions. And I'll just give you a small example which is there in the next slide. So these are two sections of the Income Tax Act 2020-25. The first section is section 34 and the second section is section 35. If you refer section 34, it says, so it is corresponding to the old section 37, which says that any expenditure which is an offense or prohibited by the law, I'll just refer the relevant paragraph, will not be allowed as an expenditure. So that is what is section 34. So for example, if medical companies, pharma companies giving freebies to doctors, it gets covered under section 34 subsection 2, and that expense cannot be allowed in accordance with the provisions of section 34(2). Now if you refer section 35, it says irrespective of any other provisions of chapter 4D, following amount shall not be allowed as a deduction. And one of the item is 30% of a sum payable to a resident on which tax is deductible at source. Now consider a situation where a pharma company distributes certain freebies to a medical professional. Now that is prohibited by section 34, but section 35 would state irrespective of anything, only 30% of it would be disallowed if TDS has not been deducted. Now this is definitely not the intention of law, but by virtue of using the terminology irrespective of, something that has not been intended gets into picture. So, sorry, PT gets, yeah, it is there. So this is something that was not intended, but it is a natural consequence of what has been done by introducing irrespective instead of notwithstanding. Similarly, provisos and explanation. Ideally, provisos and explanation have a purpose to play when you read a law. Proviso is normally to carve out an exception. So if there is a main provision, as Piyush Bhai stated, 87A. 87A में rebate मिलता है सबको, but you wanted to carve out an exception कि capital gain के लिए नहीं मिलेगा. So to carve out an exception, you always have a proviso. Similarly, explanation is to bring clarity. If you want to define certain terms, there is some ambiguity in the main provision, then you have explanation. Now, both of these also have been omitted and have been introduced as subsections. Now, again, if you see, while doing this at various places, you will find that there is a practical challenge, that comes into picture. For example, if you refer earlier 50C, read with section 78, I'll just go to the next slide. So 50C earlier had two provisos. First proviso stated that if the agreement and the registration date were different, you consider the agreement date if the date of payment was prior to the agreement date. If some amount was paid through account pay check. The second proviso stated that 110% tak ka there was an exemption. So agreement value and stamp duty value mein if there is a difference of 110%, then you can rely on the agreement value. However, what happened is the first proviso and second proviso could operate simultaneously. So ऐसा भी हो सकता था कि agreement में अगर 110% है, तो that could have been still considered. However, section 78 makes them mutually exclusive. So if agreement value as on the date of booking is different and the date of registration is different, you cannot refer the 110% criteria. So again, this was not intended, but you have it in the law. I'm sorry, this is stuck. Sorry. Yeah, similarly for explanation. And this is a very classic case, and if this interpretation is accepted by the court, possibly the tax department may lose all the revenue that it has. So if you refer section 6.1 subclause C, earlier it stated that if a person goes on employment, so there are two conditions for residential criteria. One is 182 days, the second is 60 days in that year and 365 days in the preceding 4 years. But for a person who goes outside India for the purpose of employment, the 60 days has to be read as 182 days in that year, in the year in which he goes for employment. Now, if you refer the corresponding provisions of 2020-25, kindly refer subclause 3 of the 2025 Act. It says the provisions of subsection 2B shall not apply in case of an individual who is a citizen of India and leaves India in any tax year. So therefore, suppose in financial year 25-26, I leave India for employment. I go, I come back. 26-27, I go on travel. Even then, this exemption applies to me, as the wordings stand today. However, this again has not been the intention, but again an unintended consequence of how the law has been worded. So, these are the points that I wanted to bring, that largely the government has said that we have just changed the wordings, but those wordings are going to, result in a lot of litigation. And I'm sure by the time they try to, iron out or crease out these litigation, it would be a time for the new Income Tax Act. So now we go on to structural realignment of provisions. And this is where, I would want to spend some time. So earlier, if you see, multiple provisions spread across multiple sections. If one was to ask me, how do I find a particular item? I had no answer. But this is something that has been done very good in terms of the new Act. So earlier you had section 10, which had multiple exemptions. Section 10 was the only section, but it had multiple exemptions. Now section 10 goes into schedule. So schedule you have a complete list of exemptions that are available, and they have been classified. So for example, you have certain exemptions which are general. For example, agriculture income, section 10.1. It is with respect to anybody. A company earning agriculture income, it is exempt. Similarly, LIC ka maturity. Any person getting LIC maturity is exempt. So therefore, section 10.1, 10.10D, 10.16 dealing with scholarship, all of those go into the first category, which are general exemptions. So anybody can claim those exemptions. The second is Schedule 3, which is exemptions with respect to specific eligible persons. So for example, 10.2, which deals with profit of a partnership firm. So profit of a partnership firm is eligible for exemption only to a partner. So those are the exemptions which are given in Schedule 3. Similarly, for non-resident, you have Schedule 4. Then if you have investment funds like REITs and InvITs, those go in Schedule 5. IFSC goes in Schedule 6. And Schedule 7 is persons exempt from tax. For example, if you had a medical institution or a university which had turnover below 5 crores, that goes into Schedule 7. So therefore, this is what has been done in terms of organizing the exemptions. One important amendment, and this is again, when I read this, I'm not sure, but possibly there can be a situation that you may get a result, you may get a loss under the head salary. Have you heard of loss under the head salary? The answer is no, there can never be loss under the head salary. But now what has been done is gratuity, pension, leave encashment, retrenchment compensation, all of these earlier used to be exemption under Section 10. Now they have been moved to deduction. Now what is the consequence of these moving on? What is the difference between exemption and a deduction? So exemption is something that does not enter your total income. If you read Section 10, it says income not includable in the total income. So that never enters your computation. As opposed to this deduction, what happens is the income enters your computation and then gets reduced from your computation. So consider a situation wherein during a year, the employee gets only gratuity. Now that gratuity is completely deductible under Section 19 of the Income Tax 2025. Now there is a further deduction of 75,000 which is dehors this exemption, which is the standard deduction of 75,000 that is available. So if a person receiving only gratuity during one particular year or receiving pension during a year, he shall be eligible for both deduction for gratuity pension as well as standard deduction. Ultimately, if you compute, there will be a loss under the head salary. So again, nowhere under the Act you will find that, this was, in fact, if they intended that there should be a salary loss, they should have provided how it can be set off, how it can be carried forward. But nowhere in the Act further they have provided for this. With this, so this is with respect to TDS. As I said, TDS, earlier you had Section 192 to 197, all of those covering TDS. Now, there's only one section, Section 393, wherein you will find everything and anything about TDS. So how do you navigate this section is important. First, you go to, if you are making a payment to resident or a non-resident, that's the first question you ask. If you are making payment to a resident, you go to Section 393, subsection 1. And under this section, you kindly see that whether the payment that you are making gets covered for deduction of tax. If it is not getting covered, you are not free out of it. You have to go to table number 3, wherein it says payment to any persons. So if the payment is not getting covered in 393.1, you go to 393.3 and examine if the payment is getting covered. Once you have examined both of these and there is no mention, then you can say that there is no TDS. However, if it is getting covered in either of these schedules, then it is not necessary that you are required to deduct TDS. Then you are supposed to go to table number 4 and find out if you are exempt. And I'll give you an example. I'm not sure if the links would work here. Can you please click on table 1 link? Yeah. So this is an example that I have, So Section 393.1, there is a table 1. And it would cover a situation of interest income. One of the items is any income, I am referring to clause 2, any income by way of interest other than interest on securities. So suppose I am making a payment of interest to a bank, for example. So what I do is I go to 393, table 1, clause 2. And I see, so the first table is who is the payer. So who is the payer? You have bank, cooperative. Just go to the next slide, please. Yeah. Specified person. Specified person is a person, who is liable for tax audit. So this is the provision which deals with TDS on interest. But if I'm making payment to a bank, it gets covered under this. But I cannot say that TDS on interest to bank will be subjected to TDS. Why so? Because then I have to refer table 4, which is at the next slide. Yeah. So if you see, table 4 is for no deduction of tax at source. And here you will find if the interest is payable to national development bonds, debentures, central government, LIC, GIC, business trust, etc., then no TDS is required to be deducted. So earlier what you used to get only in 194A, now you are required to refer first the section 393 table 1, then section 393 table 3, and then section 393 table 4. So that is how you navigate TDS provisions insofar as the deduction of tax is concerned. Similarly, you have a case of payment to partners. Now TDS on payment to partners, which was earlier section 194T, is not covered either in table 1 nor in table 2, but it is covered in table 3. So you have to check each of the tables to derive at a conclusion as to whether TDS is required to be deducted, is there any exemption, and what is the rate of TDS. Can you please click back just below the slide number, just besides the slide number, yeah. Okay, next is, this is again a significant change, and you know, one of the most significant change is with registered NPOs. So earlier you had provisions dealing with charitable trusts under section 11 of the Act. Now what has been done is the term charitable trust has been removed, and what has been introduced is a registered non-profit organization. So either you are a registered non-profit organization or you are not a registered non-profit organization. If you are a registered non-profit organization, that is you are, you have the valid registration under the provisions of the Act, then your income is to be computed in a particular manner. This again is merely a mapping. So what happens is you are required to compute income in a specified manner. Earlier what used to happen is, so if you applied income for a particular charitable purpose, so much of the income that you have applied for charitable purpose was considered as exempt. Presently, there is no concept of exemption that you have in income tax. What has been done is, they have defined 3 terms: regular taxable income, specified income, and residual income. You have to see which of the categories your income falls in. So regular income is any income that the trust earns is a regular taxable income, like donation. And if 85% of it is spent, more than 85% of it is spent, then regular taxable income is 0. If it is less than 85%, then whatever is not spent is the regular taxable income. On this income, you pay tax as per applicable rates. That is, whatever is your tax rate. Besides this, there is a specified income. For example, earlier you had anonymous donation. Then you had income where AO determines income, certain income which is not shown in the books of accounts. Then if there is any violation with respect to corpus donations. And there are other specified incomes. If you fall in any of these, you will be taxable at 30%. And the last is the residual income, which is neither of these two. In this case, what will happen is you will be taxed at the applicable rates as per 334B. So this is what has been, again, this is a structural shift. You never had these classifications of income for charitable trust. You had only an exemption and not an exemption, and certain incomes which are classified as specified income chargeable at special rate. With this, I'll move on to the next part of what are the key changes and practical interpretation. And I think the largest and the biggest change that one would observe in terms of interpretation of section 44 AD is that, again, this is subject to litigation, but what has happened is earlier, if you referred section 44 AD, it stated notwithstanding anything contained in 28 to 43C, a sum equal to 8% or a sum higher than the aforesaid sum claimed to have been earned by the assessee would be chargeable to tax as income from business or profession. Now compare it with 58 of the ICAI Act 2020-25. Though not much has changed, but there is a word actually earned. Now there arises a question as to what was the need of introduction of this word actually earned. One possible interpretation could be that if you are falling under section 44 AD and you actually earn a profit which is higher than 8%, you are required to offer income at a higher rate, and you may not be able to claim that the income should be subjected to 8%. This controversy is there in the existing act also, but the controversy aggravates by the use of word actually earned. And therefore, there is a very much possibility for the tax officer to come down and say that since the new provision states that what is higher, so it is 6%, 8% or profit claimed to have been actually earned, whichever is higher. And so therefore, this is a big risk of litigation that one carries, when we have the law worded in such a sense. Again, second impact on small taxpayers opting for 44AD. Again, this is going, and this is beyond doubt. Earlier slide, there is some doubt that the department may not come ahead, but this I think is beyond doubt. So earlier it stated, 44AD stated, any deduction allowable under section 30 to 38 shall not be allowed. And no deduction under these sections shall be allowed. So therefore, what is 30 to 38? It deals with deductions under business income. So depreciation, repairs, employee expenses, etc., was covered under 30 to 38. And so therefore, none of these deductions were allowed if you offered your income under section 44AD. But a question arises, what happens to chapter 6A deductions? What happens to loss arising from maybe other heads of income, say other sources you had a loss, or any other head of income you had a loss? What happens? Were you allowed to be, was that loss allowed to be set off? Were you allowed deductions under chapter 6A, ATC, ATD? The answer is yes. Under the existing provisions, you were allowed that. But now see the wordings that are provided in section 58, subsection 4. It says, any loss, allowance or deduction allowable under the provisions of the Act shall not be allowed against the income computed in the manner specified in subsection 2. So therefore, beyond doubt, a person who claims his income under presumptive taxation, new section 58, either as a professional or as a business. So 58 covers both business and profession. Even the earlier slide, this slide as well. So either case, he will not be able to claim deductions under chapter 6A. He will not be able to claim set off of losses, carry forward losses, losses of the same year against the income which has been specified, which is computed in the presumptive manner. So that is a big change, and I think Piyush Bhai, if he would have been there, he would have been a better guide to this, because this point was specifically raised to the select committee, and the select committee has specifically not amended this. So I don't think that this is an unintentional error. Possibly this is the intent of the legislature that they should not be allowed any deductions. Okay. So next is under 44AD. What happens is, under section 44AD, you had a scheme. So there was an option that what you do is, you opt in a particular year, say financial year 2025-26, you opted for 44AD. In 26-27, you opt out of 44AD. Then you cannot opt in for 44AD for the next 5 years. You are required to maintain books of accounts and get them audited as per the provisions of 44AB. That is what the law stood when it was the earlier Act 1961. The same provisions are there in 2025. Isme there is no change. So, but for example, in financial year 25-26, I do not opt for 44AD. I have never opted for 44AD in my life. Still, am I required to get my books of accounts audited if I offer a profit which is less than 8%? The answer was no. 44AD, if I opt in for 1 year and then in the subsequent 5 years I opted out, only then I was required to get books of accounts audited, but not otherwise. If I never opt for 44AD and I say my profit is only 1% or it is a loss, then I was not required to get my books of accounts audited, as per the provisions as they stood in 1961 Act. 2020-25, you have the same provisions. So 58.7 is the same provision that, what I am saying in 44AD. But if you see 58.8, and it starts with, again, irrespective of anything contained in the foregoing provisions, where provisions of subsection 7 are applicable to eligible assessee, that is, as we read earlier, and his total income exceeds the maximum amount which is not chargeable to tax, he shall be required to keep and maintain such books of accounts and get them audited. This is what we already discussed. Come to section 63, subsection 2. It says, if the person is carrying on business or profession referred to in section 58, subsection 2, I'll skip the next part of it, and the profits and gains from such business or profession are claimed to be lower than the deemed profits as referred to in these subsections, then you are required to get audited. Every person carrying on business or profession fulfilling any of the conditions is required to get books of accounts audited. So therefore, now by virtue of section 63, subsection 1, table serial number 2, what happens is if you never opted for 44 AD, but you offer your profits to be less than 8% of your turnover, then you are required to get books of accounts audited. This is going to have a vast implication in so far as there are a lot of individuals